nice. I can always just put new hats on at all times. But it's a weird collection thing. I mean, I like shoes and I like hats. I have a lot of crappy shoes that I don't wear a lot of, but I have a closet full of like ones that I'm really proud of, like a really nice pair of leather boots that I really like that I look nice in. I'm like, that was a good snag. You can get it for like it's like an old pair of leather boots from like Goodwill auction or something that I snagged. I love those. Or this cool pair of Vans that I found. It's like my favorite color. It's like I wear them super. That I really like they fit super well to my feet, and that does not happen very often. I covet those things. A good hat and that, but unfortunately, I just keep collecting those things because they're the only things that I feel good in.
She posted the new thumbnail, and we are live.
We're live.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Alex, it's your episode, so why don't you lead us in here?
I'll lead you in. So, I mean, how's your guys' week been? You know, it's been, It's been 3 weeks since our last episode, I think.
I think so.
That sounds about right. Yeah, it's been the new year. I think that we recorded it right around Christmas and New Year. And a lot of people set New Year's resolutions and stuff coming to the new year. They set high expectations for themselves. They have like these different things that they try and, go about doing. Have you guys had a pretty good New Year so far?
Yeah, mine's been awesome.
Been pretty decent,
no complaints.
No complaints. Starting on a good note, I hope. This is a crappy time of year. The weather's horrible. It's snowing here. We're getting freezing rain right now. So I'm probably going to miss.
Fantastic, and I'm so jealous.
Well, it's freezing rain on top of 7 inches of snow. All of the back roads. I mean, our road looks just as bad today as it did like 3 days ago, and it does shut down the city. So if you're into that sort of thing, unfortunately, freezing rain comes with power lines and stuff snapping, trees and whatnot. We don't want that. We look for the snow because that doesn't shake power. Our infrastructure is good enough that we'll still have power if it snows. Just, man, you throw ice in there and people are crashing, people freak out, they lose power, old people are at danger. And Tennessee, in this area, the Appalachian region, is really known for getting freezing rain this time of year. So everybody stay safe. Check on your elderly neighbors. Make sure that your friends and family are doing okay around this time if you're getting snow. And that's for my Tennessee folk because we're not used to this junk. So I hope that your New Year's going well, but I am excited for springtime, boys.
I don't want to commandeer, but I do have a question. Generally, just one or the other. Do you guys have a more optimistic or pessimistic feeling about 2024 as a whole from the beginning? Is it going to be a good year, bad year?
I'm
like for ourselves or
in general?
In general. Oh.
I'm a neutral. I think it's just gonna be just as shitty,
I'm neutral. It's just gonna be the worst shit I've ever shat.
Neutral whenever everything's garbage.
We had some good things in 2023. It wasn't all terrible, so I just think it's gonna be just another healthy mix.
Okay. Alex?
I mean, the problem is, in general, that means that I'm weighing the things that are happening to me against the things that are outside of my will happening around me. And that's like I have to find like a neutral in between somewhere that I can rate the two as they meet. And for me, I mean, last year was sensational. I got married. There was a lot of good things that happened. And I kind of ignored some of the other stuff. But I will say, coming in this year, it started really cold, but I feel pretty good about it. I think that I think this is going to be an awesome year. The business is going to be really good. The business I work for, things are looking really awesome for it. We're super busy right now, despite the weather and all the craziness. Like, I feel pretty good about it, despite, the other things that are kind of against it feel pretty heavy and kind of like, things that, it's like the things that are outside of your control, but also the things that kind of piss you off, that you can't change. I don't know, man. I feel like I'm pretty in control of the things that are making me happy right now, and that seems pretty huge.
Nice. That's awesome, man. 2024.
2024. But also, man,
think,
there's a lot of crazy shit going on. So, Tyler, please let us know how AI is going to kill us all in 2024.
I'm very optimistic. I think 2024 is going to be fantastic. I also am putting on the bingo card lots of layoffs and natural disaster. I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it right here.
Ooh, natural disaster. What do you think it's going to be? Or I mean, we've had some earthquakes in 2023 that were pretty bad. What do you think it's going to be?
I'm gonna go. We're very, very due for a cosmic radiation storm. There's already been one this year that was pretty severe.
There's been a couple that were bad. One was just like 4 days ago.
Yep. And so I'm thinking that there could be a larger event that takes down some infrastructure. Nothing crazy. This is a little wild. This is just a guess. But I think it'd be low-key hilarious.
Whoa! I wasn't expecting that one.
Because I'll bet you anything that the Republican side of the country will be like, Joe Biden did this to fake the election. Because I know Tiffany's dad would do it. And I am here for political rhetoric to devolve to Joe Biden is God.
And it's an election year.
And it's an election year.
It is an election year, but also, you know, I have heard. I just got done reading a conspiracy that Joe Biden does know people that are in control of the sun. They can choose where the sun pisses, and it's gonna piss at us really hard in 2024.
All right, let me one line everything in this page right here. Let's talk about only that forever.
Yeah. I mean, the trick is wear lots of sunscreen. You'll be fine, unless you're if you're in an airplane when a super bad solar flare type event happens. I mean, you could go down.
You would die for sure.
Yeah, it would work the exact same way as getting hit with like a super powerful EMP device. And it is something that scares me more than anything else is like being in a situation where that sort of event happens and you're just like useless for however long.
Oh.
What would you do in a situation where a solar flare, like, okay, you're talking, maybe it's not that bad, but also, I mean, who knows what, there's a big black hole portion of the sun right now that's doing some weird stuff right now that we don't understand. And it emits crazy, levels of solar flare activity. The northern lights look gorgeous right now everywhere in the northern hemisphere here. Like, there's so many videos that came out between this year and last year around. It was right around this time where you would see the aurora borealis that looked. I mean, it was always right over your head, super close looking. I mean, it's pretty, but that's not normally something that happens. And that means that there's some solar flare activity that is taking place and our polar areas are getting hit. I thought about this the other day. What if these flare activities are happening right during a polar shift and something really crazy happens? What if our poles are shifting to the point where there's like maybe a vulnerability state in between where the solar activity is just like beating down on an area and just like and right on a certain point where it's super vulnerable, there's some areas where it just like hits right where it shouldn't.
So that's exactly why I would put that on a bingo card for at least the next like 10 years is because our magnetic field is weakening, which is normal. It's part of a normal cycle, but it is weakening right now. And at the same time, solar activity, coronal mass ejections, and solar flares are at in recent history, all-time high. So it does spell possibilities for a solar flare. And I don't think solar flares are like the most deadly thing in the world, but since we have become more dependent on technology, I think obviously it'll be disruptive.
Yeah, there was like the last huge one that happened was in the 1800s, and it did affect telegram wires and all sorts of stuff like that. So, I mean, it's hard to imagine what it would be like because that was in like modern day United States where it was a big deal that it happened. And I don't know if it hits the entire world. I don't know how like the dispersion works for it if it's just like hitting at a certain spot, or do you know anything about that? Like how it's targeted?
I would love to. Yes. So we do have arrays out in space to detect solar flares to start off. So we'll know several hours ahead of time. But specifically the detectors that'll tell if the solar flare, the way that the magnetic fields interact with the Earth's magnetic field, it's a 50-50, the direction that it comes in. 50% of the time, the majority of it will get rejected by the Earth's magnetic field. But if it's perpendicular to the Earth's magnetic field, it'll go straight through. And so at that point, those arrays will only give us 30 minutes. And there's a whole system with the FCC set up. I think about this a lot. I talked to Tiffany about it. So satellites across the world will go out. Any plane that's in the air, doesn't matter if they're over the Atlantic, has to ground. Because the higher up in the ionosphere, in the atmosphere that you are, the more radiation you're going to get. So you ground. And if I think about a lot, if you're on a transatlantic flight and they're like, we're going to ground, then you've got no radio, no way to communicate, and you'll be in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. So you just got to hope that these people are like, I'm going to send out a bunch of distress calls and someone please come get me.
How well do airplanes float after they land in the ocean?
I watched Sully, so I'm an expert.
That was more of a
yeah,
bay.
But at the same time, like, how long would it be before somebody could actually, like, even be able to locate the plane? It'd be way longer than that.
Well, I think that we have things available that are able to detect distress calls that aren't necessarily on the same level that we get wiped from an EMP, right? Some sort of device that could send and receive. There has to be something out there. Maybe not that all airplanes are equipped with right now, but damn, that sounds like something that we're not prepared for, that I'm now terrified for.
So ham
How
radios.
How long do the effects of an EMP work?
Of an EMP? I mean, they're instantaneous for a pulse.
Like, it's just a pulse?
No, for a solar flare, I mean, it depends, but for the Carringer event, which is the one Alex was describing back in like the 1880s, over a day, several days.
Okay, well, I mean, it's fine. There's just big waves and big sharks out there.
Yeah, well, then you still gotta... All the satellites that were in space are not gonna just come back on. They'll be gone. You'll have to...
No. I'm just like, by that time, as long as I don't get... If I starve alive, I'll be okay. But I don't want to get eaten by a shark, man. That's so crappy.
If I don't eat for 4 hours, I will accept death by shark.
I'll drink my own piss for 5 days right now just to prove to you that I don't care about that sort of thing. However, you put me in a pit with animals that are going to eat me alive, and I can't do it. I mean, if the plane goes down and we just, like, bust into a million pieces, I mean, that's better than getting eaten by a shark.
I think anything is better than being stranded in the middle of the ocean.
That doesn't sound great, but also you get to figure out what people taste like.
Babies taste best. Snowpiercer.
Anyway, so Tyler, you seem to really have this on your bingo card. This seems like something that you're genuinely concerned about, that you're not something that you're like terrified right now about, but it's something that you genuinely think might happen. Maybe not to the level what did you call it, the one that happened in the 1800s?
Carringer event.
The Carringer event. Yeah. So that is catastrophic, in all regards. Now, this might be something that you would consider. Would you consider this a hill that you might die on?
I would not. I have those prepared. But that is, God, this man, the Segway master. Are you, gosh, I wish I had the man who invented the Segway ready. But, Segway. Are you Dean Kamen?
Dean, yes, I am. Speaking of, yes, Dean Kamen. So, we get our New Year's resolutions and whatnot. We get those out of the way. And I got to thinking about this sort of thing. It's like the things that you really are passionate about, things that you seem to stand by no matter what. They seem to ground your opinions. Maybe they formed who you are, whatever the case may be. I really wanted to know this week for our first and opening question, what is your top hill that you'll die on? It was a subject or opinion that you can see yourself holding on to forever. It's just like something that and I know that you guys are going to have awesome answers for this because I got to thinking about it. Tyler's going to be insane. Hunter, I'm excited for like what yours could be, just super random. I have no idea what it could be. But Tyler, I have something in my head that I think it might be, and I really want Tyler to start this one. I want to know what it's going to be because, man, I feel like Tyler and Hunter are going to have one thing that's so close that I'm excited for the comparison for the two.
I don't think so.
Dude,
You don't think so? Okay, I want to hear it.
I feel like now whenever you tell me what you think is mine, I'm going to feel like an idiot. Because
no, probably not. Because I mean, those are just talking points. I don't actually know what it's going to be, but there's like guesses that I could have. But I just really want to hear what it's going to be for you. So that was my way of saying that you should go first. Go for it, buddy.
So I like to think that I'm a very passionate person. I get very motivated about a lot of things, like to like a hyper fixated, maybe autistic type of level. So I have a lot of hills that I would die on, but. And I feel like this is sad now that I ironed it down to two. One of them is a little superficial. The other one is more like dogmatic, like how I live my life. And the first one is that Game of Thrones Season 8 was trash. I am extremely passionate about this to the point where I've been on online forums.
Just reinforce the audience that have never seen Game of Thrones. Which season of Game of Thrones is this?
Thank you. Good point. Season 8 is the final season of Game of Thrones. Yeah. The actors, fantastic. I hated that when people were dunking on Season 8, the actors were coming out and be like, you guys didn't like me? No, we love you. Shut the fuck up. David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, the writers of Game of Thrones, should be shot. And they are not good people. They're bad people. They got Star Wars and they said, nix Game of Thrones. We're done with it. It's boring. They did a terrible, terrible job. And the ending, we could get to the ending just fine. If that ends up being the ending of Game of Thrones, fine with it, but the journey to get there, I have sent petitions, I've sent letters to D.B. Weiss and David Benioff. I've been very into this, that I hate what they've done with this. Like, they did terrible. Well, it's not just bad storytelling, it's like sabotage. Like, very bad. So, that's my superficial one that I...
Complete devastation and sabotage, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really is. I wanted you to specify, just for the people that don't know, that is the final season of Game of Thrones, and up until that point, it was so beloved, it was so perfect in everybody's eyes. Season 8 came out, the first 3 episodes were not like horrible, and then after that, man, it was pure devastation and the absolute downfall of something that you had invested like time and energy into, something that emotion. I mean, it evokes so much emotion through the mid seasons and stuff. And dude, you know what? I'll die on that hill with you, man. That's a really good take.
Thank you. It's a big
Game of Thrones it's not like one of the first things I thought about, but passion about Game of Thrones is definitely one of the things that I was hoping that you would talk about.
Thank you. Oh gosh.
I was thinking it was going to be something about AI maybe, but then I was like, Game of Thrones, he's going to talk about Game of Thrones. I know he's going to. He fucking hated that last season, man.
AI was my first one. And I do have another one. That was my superficial one. But also, I think that the moment Game of Thrones began its downward descent for me was whenever Jaime Lannister, I don't know if you guys remember, he's on a horse and he runs at Daenerys, and then he just like flops over into the water. And then despite the water being at the shore, he sinks down like 10, 15 feet like into like a black abyss. And then in the next episode just pops back up. Like I hate the trope of like, you go unconscious underwater, you don't pop back up, you fucking die. Nobody in the world has gone unconscious underwater and then just pop back up the next... No, that doesn't happen.
You're not a hero in a medieval story, Tyler. Listen, you might just do that.
See, the introduction of plot armor, that was the downfall of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
But for my real one, and there's the motif that really stuck with me. It's from Admiral William P. Halsey. And it's that, and this is a hill that I will die on, that there are no extraordinary men. The full quote is that there are no extraordinary men, there are ordinary men. There are extraordinary circumstances with which ordinary men are forced to deal with. And I think...
Wow.
That makes me feel... A lot of people are like, that's a dark, dumb quote. But I think a lot... sometimes you idolize these people. You look at people like, political figures or sports figures or actors and say, like, that person, like, I just couldn't do what they do. they're better than me. They're like extraordinary. I idolize this person, and that's good to have role models, but they're just fucking people, and you are just a fucking person, and you're just as good as them. You're just as good as anyone who's ever been in history who's done extraordinary things. The only difference is the circumstances with which you live. And you can put yourself in challenging circumstances, or you can achieve or pursue challenging goals. And ultimately, it's up to luck and how you deal with the circumstances. I think about that a lot.
Whose quote is this?
Admiral William P. Halsey. He's a Navy admiral.
Admiral Will B. Halsey.
P. It's actually Halsey's pit pot, her grandpa.
So,
Tyler, I swear, if I could take everything you just said and fit it onto a poster, it'd be the greatest motivational seller.
I have to go find this shit, man, because this is some inspirational stuff. That, man, you're creating mounds for us to die on with you, because that is a huge thing.
It's in my email signature, and I think it's the most douchey thing about me.
I don't think it's douchey. Well, for one, first and foremost, I mean, thank you for allowing us to learn about this quote, this person, and this take that you have on this quote, because, that is, I now know who that is, and you're not a douche until I learn who this admiral is, and then maybe you'll be a douche after that. But thank you for sharing that with us, because Hunter, how do you feel about that last one? Do you feel inspired? Do you feel like
I said, that was a motivational bestseller right there.
That's a bestseller. Yeah, I think Tyler might be the spokesperson for that douchey meme.
1 second.
Listen, you're the one that said it.
Email signature.
Wow, you put it in your email signature? What are you doing? Drinking wine out of a mason jar with your hat sideways?
Yo, the boys at Beta Cal thought it was lit.
Yeah? Yeah. Well, I thought it was lit. I'm here for that kind of stuff, man. I love, like, self-motivation things and things that make you not feel like somebody that you look up to. They're not necessarily... they've all got their flaws, man. I mean, we got our flaws, but everybody's got their flaws, and they're not extraordinary. They succeeded in something that you're interested in to the best level of that, whatever that is. If it's somebody on TikTok or something. I mean, like, that's really what they're good at. But you throw something else in front of them, they're not going to know how to do it. Tyler. An expert at capacitors and throwing wires together, and Hunter's over here making CNC machining stuff and making parts and fixing. That's what he did before. He's I don't you don't.
I
really
still
tell me
make
what you do
parts
right now. Well, I figured that you're the person. Yeah, listen, I'm sorry. I don't know. What do I do?
You're good.
What somebody describe what I do really quick.
Yeah. You lead the people. You're the champion of the people in domestic manufacturing, promoting, single-handedly propping up America's gross domestic product in a manner that is both equitable, responsible.
Dog treats.
Dog treats products.
We don't
warehousing
dog
services.
Food. Only dog treats.
Advertising. Not only that, but the functions that you perform for advertising, not just managerial, which keeps people employed, which keeps money circulating. Advertising, keeping consumers participating in the market, is the way you put money back into the system. And circulating money is the only thing that keeps our economy going. Basically, without Alex, our economy would topple.
And without the machines that are moving all those parts and the electricity that's pumping the power to all of these parts, our society would crumble, especially if there was a solar flare. Listen, here we are.
You ever think
we
about
all have these hills that we die on, right? We're all extraordinary in our own regard. I'm proud of all of us. I think that we're adulting really well. That is a hill that I want to die on, but I also want to know what kind of hills that Hunter wants to die on.
If you name the closest hill to your house, I will be very upset. I want to die on that hill. It's a south-facing hill.
Buck Mountain.
Oh man, so mine It's gonna sound so dumb. So thank you.
Maybe now.
So I really did think about this for a while, and the only thing that could come to my mind over and over and over again is fucking Aragon. Right? And this is all because of Tyler, and I am so upset.
Oh, shit. Oh, no.
Is that new?
Yeah, Murtaugh. I saw it. It's the new Christopher Paolini book.
They came out with it?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Okay, so Aragon, fantastic. I loved it so much, right? And the movie came out, and awesome. And that right there happened years ago.
Did you say? Wait, hold on. Did you say it was awesome?
Shut up! I am announcing my hill.
This is the hill. Go ahead.
We're watching it right now.
Years ago, you said the exact same thing, and I have thought about it ever since because I fucking loved that movie. That was a fantastic movie, and I was emotionally attached, and I was so upset the day that you told me that it failed. It was terrible. They were never going to make a sequel, and I was like, no.
Dude, that's how I feel about the Avatar movie. The Avatar movie, everyone says is bad. I thought it was pretty good. I liked it.
Yeah, but there's no Avatar book.
That's true.
Oh, Avatar The Last Airbender?
Yeah.
No. Avatar The Last Airbender, the movie sucked. That's a horrible hill. Don't die on that hill, Tyler. You'll get shredded.
I won't die on that hill. I'll give up.
Nobody blames M. Night Shyamalan. They blame Sony now because they made him do it.
So let's hear a defense of Aragon because
what is the defense? It's awful. It's awful compared to the book.
What if it's Rotten Tomatoes?
The book, listen, it's the same as the Percy Jackson movie. It sucked. It was awful. I think they made two.
Percy Jackson was terrible. Aragon
They're
was
both
fantastic.
bad. Listen,
I'm gonna watch Aragon tonight because I miss it. Okay.
Listen.
What do you think the Rotten Tomatoes score is for Aragon?
Shut your mouth.
I bet I can guess. It's probably like.
Look,
it's probably under 20.
Hill.
Is it 17? 17%? 14?
16%.
Ooh, I was close, man. Yeah. I was close. I figured that it had a really low score, man. That movie's awful. And listen, here's the thing. If you have an attachment to it because it was like it had a good memory for you, you saw it in like the perfect time. But here's the question that I have for it. Did you read the book first before watching the movie? That's what makes the difference between whether or not you liked that movie.
I think particularly the acting, I'll give you, was good. I think that Ed Spielers, who I now know is the guy who played Aragon, did well. The writing. And the writing was what was so good about Aragon, despite Christopher Paolini being like 16 years old when he wrote the first book. It's good writing. And the show is all just one-liners, back and forth. It's like a tennis game of one-liners. There's no real dialogue. And you should wait. You should come over and we should watch this together because I want to look at you in the eyes as you watch.
The look on Tyler's face through the entire movie. It's gonna make him so. By the time you guys do this, whatever this date night's gonna be between you,
tonight.
Tyler's gonna have the entire book memorized. By the way, if he doesn't already.
Tonight,
dude.
I'm not putting this off.
When's the last time that you've read the book, though?
It's been a hot minute.
Yeah, let's start a book club.
Okay, so on the same terms, right now Blair and I are watching the Percy Jackson show. It's on Disney Plus,
I want to watch
and it's one of the best shows from that era of books that I've ever seen.
Really?
And I'm very glad that it's not a movie format because it doesn't need to be a movie format. Now, it is a lot of but there's like 5 or 6 episodes now, and you can binge watch them. They're all under 50 minutes, 49 to 39 minutes or whatever. And it's one of the best takes on, listen, I love the Percy Jackson books. I read them. I loved them. I read like those, the Lemony Snicket's ones, the Aragon ones. I read all of those. And, that era of books is very special to me. It's like a book fair type era of a RuneScape guidebook type era of at the Scholastic Book Fair. The smell, I mean, that era tells you that's like your childhood, how much you read, the books that you got super into. Aragon had a special part in my brain. The movie felt a little flat for me, but the Percy Jackson ones felt the exact same. This show feels awesome. Like, this feels exactly how I felt while reading those books, man. It's crazy. It's funny. It's funny as an adult, too, by the way. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have never read the Percy Jackson books.
I mean, that's fine. You grew up...
But I feel like I'm missing out because it's become like a big thing now.
Yeah, I think it's cool that the generation that, like our generation that had kids early, are having kids now that are starting to read those books. That's really cool to think about. Because like people that are like 30 to 25 right now could have a kid old enough almost to be reading those and like understanding them. And that's a cool thing to think about because do they still have book fairs at school? I don't know anybody that...
I think
Tiffany says they do.
Do they? That's... Man, I miss that. You see that bus parked out front of the school and you're like it's...
Bus.
Oh, it wasn't a bus, it was a trailer.
We just knew because they would close off the library.
Yeah, that's what we did.
You had a room set up for it?
Yeah.
They would set it all up in the library, yeah.
Yeah, but there's a service that comes in and sets up for it. It's just like a truck.
Yeah, but we never saw the bus. I guess they parked it in the back.
I guess I went to a smaller school. Everything had to park out front because there was only one front to park out of.
Yeah, can we start a business doing book fairs? Can we do adult book fairs? Oh, that's just...
Ooh.
That's Pornhub.
It's just a wall of 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
We could do an adult book fair. We could just go to workplaces and do a book fair.
It would be 50 Shades...
Workplaces.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you could do like Christmas parties and stuff. They'd do that kind of stuff, you know? Go to work.
We should
go to
start up in the
workplaces
spring
for
and
sure.
summer. We should pitch the idea of a carrier kickball team.
The fuck? That's a hill to die on right there.
Oh, a what kickball team?
Carrier is the company I work for.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it'd be a cool thing.
You don't think you should set up a trailer that has a golf simulation with like 3 different slots or 4 different slots in it, and you can park it anywhere and you can rent it, and they'll just like pull out in front of your place, and you can just like do golf simulation for like 3-4 hours with your boys. You have like on-site beer service, whatever. That'd be a really cool thing.
Fantastic business idea.
Dude,
that'd be pretty cool. I've thought about that a couple times.
I can run off the whole numbers for a golf simulator business right now.
You could do it in a storage container. You'd have to do it really right because there's not enough room left to right, but you really don't need that much room between you and the screen, man. I mean, you need like, what, 5 feet? 6 feet?
You could build a trailer that expands.
Ooh, that'd be cool. Yeah.
So you could do a long trailer that comes out.
Yeah, that'd be neat. That'd be really cool. That's a really good business idea.
Dude,
I've been thinking about golf simulators a lot lately. And to build like a place inside of just like a storefront that you rent would make a lot of money. But something mobile would be pretty cool. Tyler, let's hear it.
So I've got a buddy here that is into golfing, had the idea of a golf simulator. So I ran all the numbers. A new golf simulator today, $16,000. If you started an LLC and you got an EIN the next day and went to a bank and got a line of credit, you could get a $30,000 line of credit immediately. And you could buy a golf simulator. And you could make a profitable business in one day on a golf simulator. And all you've got to do is you then take that, you do the setup yourself, or you can hire someone to do it. It's still profitable. I've ran the numbers here. And you go to a bar that has enough space. It doesn't take a ton of space. And you say that I'll set up here and I'll make people pay per hour for this golf simulator. You can have them split it with their buddies, and it's good for the business owner and it's good for you. And all you've got to do is you can be part-time. You deflate it, it's inflatable, and then you can put it in your the back of a standard car or truck. And then you can take it there, take it back, do it on weekends, and it pays for itself.
Just have like a green mat. That'd be really nice. Well, I mean...
But I do feel bad. We've kind of skipped Alex here on the hill to die on. I love talking business stuff, but also I'm very excited to hear.
Alex. Oh no! You guys can't segue back.
What did you think that I was gonna say?
What did I think you were gonna say?
Yeah.
So
not Aragon.
I definitely didn't think that you were gonna die. That took me. Honestly, that took me by so much of a surprise.
It's been brewing, okay.
I mean, that's some trauma. You guys have never healed from this. I can tell. It's fine.
He came after me with an arrow. He almost killed me.
Tyler was never scarred, okay.
Yeah.
You came after me with an arrow when I was 5 or something. I still think about that all the time.
So, in my head, I thought I have no memory. I thought that Hunter was going to say something about not needing to go to school, to college at the level, or like for what he went for.
Okay,
I thought he was going to say that he didn't have to go through like the pain and suffering that he went for to end up where he's at.
That would have been so much better.
Yeah.
No, I think yours was a lot more fun of an answer because we segued like 20 minutes left and right. We might have to edit all of that side talk out.
It's a live stream. We don't do that anymore.
We're not.
I love that whole conversation that went to was insane because I was despised. That's such a despised. I despised that take. And then hearing Tyler say the thing about The Last Airbender, for one, The Last Airbender is about to come back out, by the way, at the end of this year. It's set to come out in December, I think.
You made me very excited about Percy Jackson. I want to watch it, and I think we're going to enter a golden age of. You got the Harry Potter HBO series coming out. You've got Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yeah. Like, I'm about to eat a lot of popcorn.
I am about to eat a lot of popcorn. Listen. I almost in this day and age when they release one episode at a time, weeks at a time. I mean, that takes me back to like having to wait for the next episode of, American Idol or exactly something like that. Yeah. And I'm not cool with that, man. I'd rather just like ignore all the publicity for a month and then binge watch like 4 or 5 episodes in one night. Oh, I love that, dude. No, I'd rather not get into it unless I can keep watching it until I'm tired.
I hate the anticipation.
It drives me crazy, man.
I'm excited for it with Bradley. Like, that was the thing I did with my dad is we watch American Idol on Wednesdays.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I do get that.
On Wednesdays.
Yeah,
I guess that's really cool.
As an adult, you're so used to being able to just like purchasing your way to the end of whatever it is that you would like to have for whatever level it is, and for like
your massage.
And this, exactly, happy ending $5 extra. But in this day and age, you're like, I don't know, man. I just threw up an amount. Don't give me that face, Tyler. This is a live stream. You want me to make Banana cry?
Oh,
it's an old comedy. It's an old comedy. But anyway, what was I even talking about? Damn it!
You were talking about your hill to die on.
My hill to die on. So I was trying to make a segue, and you got me on happy endings. My hill to die on it's a little bit different. I kept going between a couple different ones, but the first one is a super random one. First, I would like to know, what would you guys think that my hill to die on would be really quick before I say it? Because I liked having mine in mind and then telling you guys, but I'd like to know before I answer, because I do have like a set in stone random one.
I think one of yours is going to be that RuneScape 3 wasn't that bad and it's just as good as like OSRS or something like that.
Wow. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, well.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Tyler, what did you think that yours was going to be?
I think that you've been an advocate that has made me view mental health differently. So I would think that yours would have to do with contrary to the stigma surrounding mental health and saying that therapy is important, mental health is important.
Wow, you guys are crazy, man. You guys know me a lot better than I thought that you knew me, because I have 3, and my first 2 are not those 2. So my
and you guys are idiots.
I had a top 5, and the top 3 were the one that I'm choosing because I knew that it would be something that probably nobody would say anything about, and it was something that I was super passionate about as well. But the other ones were fucking shitty RuneScape 3 and how much I love RuneScape 3. And then my third one was the whole mentality of man up, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, beat your son because he has feelings. Those, you guys, I'm really impressed by that. And I know that we're still only on question 1, but I love the fact that I feel like we've grown to know each other a little bit. I really like that. I'm really impressed by that. Now to my hill that I will actually die on. Which, listen, we can talk about RuneScape here in a bit because I really have to talk about my other ones after this. But my number one is that the food that you grew up on is always going to be better than the food that you will make for yourself. And not the food, like your favorite meal that you had growing up, you will never be able to make that same meal taste as good as it was. And this comes into terms with, this isn't with everybody, but this has something to do with the fact that so for me, I love cooking. You know, I know you guys love cooking. We've all really grown to know each other for our cooking. And I know not everybody grows up in a family that's able to make food very well. What do they call them? Supplies families, or there's a word for it. It's a word for like always having ingredients homes. Yes, that's exactly that. It's exactly. That's how I grew up too. And it's like families where you grow up with. You have butter, you have eggs, you have like these essential things. You have to learn how to make stuff for yourself. You have to learn how to fend for yourself. You don't want the same, bowl of cereal or ramen every night. You got to make something special. If you have, I mean, you could just eat ramen, whatever. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing that. But I grew up making food special for myself. But there are certain meals that my mom made that I can't make, that my grandma made, that I can't. It doesn't matter. Pinto beans, cornbread, and fried potatoes that my grandma would make. I cannot make potatoes that taste like whatever she made. And at a culinary perspective, it doesn't make any sense. She made like some mushy potatoes that were crispy around the edges and golden brown on certain parts, but like it wasn't. You could make something that the masses would be like, this is a good potato dish, But this was perfect. You eat it with ketchup or vinegar, and I can't make something like that tastes like that. And it's the memory of it, I'm sure. But that's a hill that I'm going to die on, is that I can't prepare stuff that's like more important than a memory, I guess, that it had. But I'll have something every once in a while that's pretty close that like one of my aunts or uncles or my parents make. And it's like, I'm like, oh man, I can't make it like that. But I know that overall I'm a little bit better cook than a lot of the people in my family are. But I can't nail some stuff, man. My mom's meatloaf's hard to beat.
I don't have the same memories of foods growing up. But I am curious, what percentage of it do you think was just like your grandmother's or your mam's arcane knowledge of cooking, or versus the memory? Do you think that the memory just enhanced the...
Man, my grandma was a vegetarian her whole life. For a vast majority of her life, and she made chicken and stuff that tasted better than anything that... I mean, she made fried chicken that was in other dishes like that that I can't mimic that. And she never taste tested anything, man. It's crazy. And I could follow that recipe perfectly. And obviously, it's just it's the whole environment. You're in a warm environment that you're used to, and it's something that you see as like your childhood experience, whatever. Maybe that makes a meal taste better. I don't know. I'm not sure what it is. But I mean, I've had a lot of good meals as an adult, and things that I've cooked that have been like the best variation of that I've ever had in my life, Not like tooting my own horn. I'm just like, I've never ordered some of the stuff that I've made at home, and I'm like, wow, this is something really good that I'd love to keep making. However, there is some, like, I mean, for instance, my mom's meatloaf. My mom still makes meatloaf to this day, and I just cannot make a meatloaf that tastes like that, despite a million reviews on the internet that are like the perfect blah, 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 whatever. My mom's meatloaf has always been amazing.
Dude, speaking of your mom, that dance at your wedding was the most unexpected, coolest thing. That was super cool. That needs to be 1 million views right now.
I really love that, man.
Oh, yeah.
What dance?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you mean when Alex twerked on the table?
That was amazing.
Yeah, my mom's awesome. I love my mom a lot.
How long do you guys practice for that?
Like, a month and a half, 2 months.
Yeah, it showed. You guys did awesome.
Yeah.
I can't believe we haven't talked about that since.
Once or twice a week, but yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. She was so excited for it, and I was so, that was the last thing I was nervous about at the wedding, was doing that dance, and then after that I could just like, music could play, I could just kind of minger around and say hi to everybody, whatever. But up until that was like the last big thing that I had to do, and man, we nailed it. It was my mom nailed it a lot. She had so much fun doing it, dude. She loved it. Everybody keeps telling her how much fun it was seeing her do that.
You guys did a great job of like not spoiling that something was going to happen. Like it came out of nowhere.
I didn't want to tell very many. I told like 3 people. My dad knew, and Blair knew.
Did Blair's dad know?
Blair's dad did know.
Okay, because I was about to say, imagine Blair's dad didn't know, and he was just like, "What the fuck? What the fuck? We didn't do."
It's funny that you say that. So my mom and I were practicing it on the day before the wedding. We were practicing it before everybody was coming over to hang out. And, we were just kind of running through it. And Blair's dad walks in and we were like, we're not doing it. And he's like, I didn't see anything, and walked out. So it's funny that you say that because he did know. Nice.
It's good to know.
I think that they loved it. They loved seeing that. So
they also had a lot of fun.
I appreciate you saying that. So I wanted to kind of go back here. We've gone on a tangent. It's been really fun hanging out with you guys and kind of catching up on some stuff. But we do have a podcast to run here. We have been going for a while. I think it is time to make it to question 2, because question 3 is the one that I really want to make it to and end on. Okay. So question 2. I'm going to bounce back on the whole Admiral Will P. Halsey situation here. That seems like a really good segue here, because the next question, Richard Feynman, he said, never confuse education and intelligence. So that whole situation is like the whole, there's no extraordinary men. It's like the people are really good at succeeding in one thing, and then people tend to follow people based on, they have that same interest. If it's like an ancient archaeology thing, like for me, I love Graham Hancock. So anything that he comes out with, I'm like, oh man, I believe that is exactly what it is, because I respect him and his work so well that kind of hones my my opinion on that sort of thing. So on that whole aspect, have you guys ever met somebody that's like highly intelligent, but they might be super wrong on something else? And it's not like a smart thing. They're just like, they're so smart and educated, but man, they are stupid. And Hunter, you're going to have to start this one, because I know that you probably have worked with some people and been around some people that just think that their crap smells better than everybody else's, but man, they really lack on some other aspects.
Yeah. So my last job was filled with a ton of guys like that, right? So we had one guy, went to school, went to all the classes, got great grades and stuff, and he moved up pretty well, and I guess he got to a point where just, he talked more shit than what he could do, and I mean, they finally fired him. Oh God, no! I just thought of one more that's so much worse. Oh no! Okay, just take back everything I said, because this one's so much worse. I swear to God, this man's degree had to have been written in crayon. Okay.
Oh, I can't wait.
All right, this man was an engineer. Okay. He came to me, said he needed, a sport extrusion, so he needed a mandrel made. And a mandrel is just like, it's a sphere. It goes up straight, or not a sphere, it's a cylinder that goes straight, and then it tapers up, goes straight, tapers up. And that's like they form the tip of the pipe with that, right? And so this man is telling me what he needs made.
It's beveled. You got to make sure that you have a beveled end. It's fine. Go ahead.
No, it's
a mushroom tip.
It's got a taper. I mean, listen, you don't want it to get sucked in your beehole. Go ahead.
Anyway, yep. So I'm like, okay, well, do you have a drawing? And this man looks me in the eyes and says, how do I do that? Or no, sorry. He came back with a drawing in Sharpie first. It was a Kirby drawing, and I
no.
was like, I can't read this. Like, I need a drawing. And he's like, well, how do you do that? So I had to sit down with this man and show this engineer how to make an actual drawing and give it to me. And that was only the first thing. I mean, this guy just time and time and time again, just like stupid shit. He didn't know just like very basic stuff.
Was this guy like above you or on the same level as you, or
No,
how
he was above me for sure. He was
above
an
you?
engineer, and I was
An
still just a
engineer?
machinist.
And he didn't even. Okay, that's crazy, man.
So yeah, I mean, they finally fired him. We had another engineer in the plant that cost the company over $10 million because of he bought 4 giant presses. Right, these are multi-million-dollar machines, and he completely fucked them because he didn't get the anti-corrosive package, which is a huge deal because everything becomes like nickel plated and everything to stop from corrosion and everything. And we let off chlorine gas from our material.
Oh.
And that would literally rust every fucking thing.
And kill people.
And yes, it does kill people. So we had lots of exhaust fans that didn't work half the time, and presses blew up a lot. But anyways, this man did not get the anti-corrosion package, so the entire inside of the barrel wasn't coated, the screw wasn't coated, the platens weren't coated. I mean, within months, everything was rusted out on these machines, and they're almost junk. I mean, everything's had to be replaced. The entire PLC cabinet was fried because it wasn't pressurized. I mean, just wild stuff. So I mean, it's just people that like, and that wasn't even one, like, that was one of his biggest fuck ups. Like, he did multiple things. It's crazy seeing people like that in these positions. I don't know.
So do you think it's like a person getting hired just based on a degree and that's it? Do you think he just didn't have any hands-on experience with something like this? Yeah.
No, because they were both older guys. I mean, they were,
okay.
in their probably 50s.
Right. So in this modern day of
experience.
technology, so they have the experience, just not with this new technology that you guys are integrating with, or
I guess so. I guess they just really haven't. There's no real continuing education going on there.
That makes a lot of sense. I can imagine that somebody that got an engineering degree, 20, 30 years ago compared to what you're getting now and what people are getting now, I would assume that there's probably a little bit of a information barrier based on that. Not to mention people from that generation are super hard-headed. They don't want to learn new processes. They want to keep on to, the old way of doing things because they think that it was better, despite there being so many more, like better active ways of doing things. So I mean, that makes a lot of sense, but that sort of thing seems super frustrating, especially knowing that you're more capable, making, whatever, less money, maybe, all of these things that would go into this sort of thing. And this person is costing the company $10 million, wherever it would cost them $50,000 more for you to make this place a better, like, that's always such a hard place to be, man. Is that probably one of the better things that people that you could find in that position?
I think so. I mean, it's most of the people that I can think of are a lot of the same kind of situation, right? It's just people in places that they really don't deserve to be.
Yeah, that's a pretty good example. Tyler, I would love to hear what do you have to say either about, what Hunter's experience is or what your own experience is on this.
I have 6 examples, but for
oh gosh,
for Hunter's experience, I am curious because I'd be willing to bet. I'll say before I ask the question that those 2 people probably represent the majority of upper level educated people, like I'm assuming graduate or postgraduate, postdoctoral, that sort of education. But what percentage of people with higher tier educations that you've encountered actually live up to that expectation?
I unless I'm missing something obvious, I honestly don't know if I can think of something.
Oh yeah, and that's where I'm going to start off. Is I think that collegiate level academia fails the workplace because it is fundamentally not designed to participate in that manner with the workplace. academia at the undergraduate level serves to bolster a pipeline to take you into graduate level studies, to take you into like an academic setting where you're going to be a scientist, you're going to study materials, and that's what you're going to do for your life. It was never intended in the beginning, and it's kind of kept that trend to be a foray into the workplace. I think that the perception of our parents and their parents is what's made undergraduate level academia so regarded as a milestone for employment, and I think it does not deserve that. It isn't made for entering the workplace, at least in the fields that I think that the three of us work in. There are certainly some levels where it's necessary or important, or even like designed in that you need to have this.
Yeah, I think that doctorate is like that level. If you're not going into like educational type things and are going to be like a doctorate with just being a professor or something like that, I think that if you're going to be a doctorate in your field or just be a doctor, period, I think that sort of thing seems specialized in whatever it is you're going to be doing. But I think that definitely goes to show that that experience is it's way more important than people really weigh it as. That's why a lot of places these days, I mean, if you have an even level of experience with an even level of education, I mean, you're going to get picked over anybody, right? Because that level it's like the perfect level, because you have the knowledge base and then the broader knowledge base on whatever it is the topic that you guys are narrowing in on. So I think that's
fair example. Look at me. I mean, I have a degree in software engineering. The only reason I got this job is because I had a bachelor's degree in some type of engineering.
Exactly.
The rest was all my background. So.
Yep. Exactly. So I think that what the bachelor's degree says to employers today is that I've got someone who can meet the requirements of some formal mechanism, is reliable in that regard. Is that worth $100,000? I don't know. But my examples that I have for this, one of them works at Carrier, so I'm probably not going to use them.
I want to know.
Well, you can say that off recording,
we'll
but I don't. Right. We don't want an HR here.
So I'll start with I was in the nuclear propulsion field in the Navy.
All right, let's just go more broad.
Yeah. So everyone in the nuclear propulsion field goes through pretty much the same pipeline. There's a differentiator between officers and enlisted. Officers have a degree, usually, I think required in a STEM field typically, have to have a good GPA. They go through an interview to get accepted, and there is a difference. I was enlisted, but we all go through the same baseline, so we all have to be somewhat intelligent. We go through 2 years of training. It's a filter with about a 50% attrition rate. And I met, at least what I felt like at the time, some of the dumbest motherfuckers, and all the people on here are officers. And I'll name names. It's Lieutenant Commander Ryan Collins.
Oh my God!
Who is the worst eng that I ever experienced. He is terrible. Was terrible. He's probably a nice guy.
What did he do that was so bad?
So he just
engineer,
engineer, nuclear engineer. He's the one in charge of all of the nuclear department.
Got you.
And he stonewalled everything. He was so terrified to make a single action that he wouldn't do anything. And every single thing goes up to him and stops there. And he made these batshit crazy rules to get around doing anything. He would always bring up that he wasn't supposed to be an eng. He was supposed to be a shipyard nav, which is an easier job. And he doesn't know, it's unfair that he's been put in this position. And I got in trouble, and I got sent home because I called him a spastic, autistic midget.
Oh my God.
Which you're not supposed to do to people who are your boss in the military.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I knew that was going to be good, man. Dang it.
And then the other two I like a good bit. They'll never see this, but Lieutenant Rogeness, who now is out of the Navy. He got qualified as a nuclear engineer. This man, my favorite Rogeness story, is that the first whenever I was joining the boat, the submarine, and he was also joining the submarine, a potato rolled across crew's mess, which is the little dining area, and he grabbed the potato and he held it in his hand and he looked at me and he said, "Can I eat this?" And I said, "Yeah, do you want me to cook it?" And he looked at me and went, "Huh." and then he bit the potato like an apple, and he left.
Is he fucking Smeagol?
He
Smeagol eating catfish out of the river.
and
oh
these
my
people,
gosh!
To anyone in the civilian job market, would be one of the most intelligent people they've met.
That's
they've got
so
credentials.
funny, dude. Holy crap!
And then one of the dumbest people that I've met, and these are starting to make me feel like a bad person because they're probably very intelligent, very good people with like lives and families and stuff.
Nah, dude, the potato guy, I mean, he's fried. Something happened to him. He got too close to the reactor.
Lieutenant Kwasnik. I don't know his first name, but this man cried every day. He was a terrible officer, was like not smart, did not know anything, looked scared all the time. Just not good. And all these people are at collegiate level, like some of the best universities in the world.
Dude, Tyler, you're first and foremost, you're gonna cause our country to get attacked. You're gonna cause some, like, they're gonna sense a weakness and fight us because they know that we have raw potato grabbing freaks running these nuclear submarines, dude. Come on.
Oh
None of these guys are in the military anymore, so it's fine. But
it's fine.
And they also have, like, the enlisted officers do have a harder job, I'll be honest. I do not envy a submarine officer. I have two more examples, and I'll try to be quick. My predecessor at AZP, the company that I used to work for, I don't remember his name, but people used to every single day say, "Thank God you're not that guy." He had a doctorate in electrical engineering, a PhD, and whenever he got to the site, they had a small installation that they needed to do. They needed to like run small gauge wire from one cabinet to one cabinet, like 100 feet. He ordered $84,000 in wire about this big.
That's some government spending, baby.
What?
And he had no idea how to hook it up, where it went between. He ended up just like not showing up to work after like a year, and they fired him. And then I showed up to a vacant position, and everyone was like, "Thank God you're not that guy." And I can't believe I can't remember his name now.
Oh,
dude,
my God.
The last
dude,
one,
if you show up to any auto parts store that's not like name brand, or even the name brand ones, you're gonna have a parts guy. If you have an issue, you tell him, he orders the right thing for the right job. Are you telling me that these places don't have that?
and the last one is Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I will give no context.
Yeah, that's it. Honestly, you can also put that. You can also put that on the hill that you'll die on because I can't stand the guy. I can't stand that cocky son of a gun,
dude. Especially around the UFO stuff. Fuck
dude. Listen.
I hate his cocky, authoritative personality.
He's great at like interpreting astrophysics to people. He's great at being that inner barrier between like people that are curious about something and people that might be more curious about it. But man, something about him, he seems so cocky on subject. And this is the first person that I thought of when I thought about this sort of thing was the celebrity that I could not stand the most. Celebrity, but also the specialist celebrity. You know, there's tons of doctors that are total hacks out there, but he seems to be and Bill Nye was second for me because Bill Nye is not even a scientist in any regard. I love Bill Nye, and he was great at doing that exact thing. He got kids interested in things, but he started having a political agenda and having like an opinion about things that have nothing to do with anything. And he's not a scientist. He has no. Look it up.
Anybody's allowed to push their political.
He's got a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering.
I mean, that's fine, but he shouldn't be telling me that I shouldn't have an opinion about, the coronavirus. That's insane. He doesn't know anything about that. But, when it comes to scientists, and it's Neil deGrasse Tyson with the UFOs, makes me so upset, dude. He makes it sound like we are so useless. We have no place in this solar system other than to keep thriving on what we're doing exactly now. We're never going to make it to another place because it's so far away. And anything outside of what we know beyond that, I mean, he doesn't well, I mean, he's setting his basis on what we know, I guess, which is fine. But like in regards to like gravitational moving in between crazy dimensions and stuff, I mean, I'd say that there's definitely some beings and some existence of civilizations that can do that out in the other solar system. I mean, what is the peak level? We don't know anything about it. We know what AI can do, and AI is probably like 100 years from being able to do something like that anyway.
We're hitting on aliens and AI in every episode.
Well, Neil deGrasse Tyson is a really good segue to the final thing.
What
The final question.
Was that your response to the idiots? With
No. I'm just kind of tying the two really quick.
Okay.
So it's fun. It's fun having segues to bounce on too. And well, I mean that was my number one, was Neil deGrasse Tyson. That sort of level of celebrity and scientists that, and I don't know any people that like archaeologists specifically. I don't know any, but all I know is like the mainstream Smithsonian and stuff like that. I don't trust anything that comes out of those. Like, it's cool to go to the Smithsonian Museum and stuff, but they have a history of just covering stuff up, buying off different sites that were discovered. They'll buy them off. They'll send all their stuff to a warehouse that'll never be seen by anybody. They have just a sheet record of doing this. And one of them is the Boneyard, Alaska guy. Have you guys heard about this guy, the Boneyard, Alaska, on Instagram? So he's got, this guy has a site in Alaska. I think it's north. It's like a couple hours north of Anchorage, I think. His site, there's a hillside that he has started excavating because there were just like mammoth tusks and stuff hanging out of it. Well, there's also different cat bones that they will find from saber-tooth whatnots, from different large-sized cats that existed in the United States in a 10,000 year period, when they should have, that the Smithsonian scientific different studies and whatnot, and they'll say that this has not happened. They have not existed here, and for some reason they've written this guy off, and they bought bones and had them shipped in the 1800s to different museums and whatnot, and they dumped them in rivers. The bones, the tusks, hundreds of them, shipping containers full of them. And I don't know what they've. Is it because they've invested so much time and effort into, like, that was the study at the time, and they've put so much money into pushing whatever that is, that now they can't go from there, because that's not necessarily how science has ever worked. But they also don't write off people that were wrong about certain subjects. They've always built off of certain subjects that already existed. So, I don't know. That sort of thing drives me insane, man. You guys need to look up the Barnyard, Alaska guy. I'm kind of high right now, so I'm going on a tangent, but like, I love early like American history, and like up to the 12,500 period, like the end of the Younger Dryas, because we don't really know what happened over there. Anyway, there wasn't supposed to be flooding that happened, or like a massive dying of animals at this time period. It's really cool. But the specialists that are involved in throwing that agenda around, I don't understand why they are at the level that they're at. It doesn't make any sense to me. And we regard them as the highest that they are for their abilities.
Joe Rogan did a podcast with them. I'm going to have to check it out. John Reeves is the guy from...
John Reeves. I think he's probably done a couple with him now. He's a pretty cool guy. I think you'll like him. And he's got a track record of being correct. He's got tons of gold on the property. Like, he's got no reason to lie about mammoth tusks. They find multiple bones and mammoth tusks every single day. Like, every single week they're pulling tusks out and all this stuff from this hillside. It's like a 3-acre portion of land that they're pulling hundreds of tusks from. So there's thousands of animals that have died in this small congested area. And that's just on one hillside that they've started excavating. This is not an archaeological type thing. They're just spraying water on a hillside into permafrost and finding all these bones that are just riddled right here in this one area. So it doesn't make any sense for there to be some sort of giant flood of something that caused them to congeal in this area of permafrost, 10,000 years ago, however long it was. There's no answer for it. There's no archaeologist or, an archaeologist, maybe a paleontologist would be more involved in something like that. but there's also they're finding signs of human life there before there should have been any humans over there near the Bering Strait and stuff. But the majority of they're finding a lot of weird things, tusks that were cut and whatnot. So there was some kind of event that took place there that the specialists don't agree with, and that sort of thing really drives me crazy for specialists. And it's the same with Neil deGrasse Tyson. Like, he doesn't know anything about UFOs. He can't say that they don't exist. I mean, he knows that something else exists there, but he thinks that we're so small that we'll never ever come into contact with anything like that. I've heard him say that multiple times. That drives me absolutely insane, man.
I feel like Neil deGrasse Tyson is like the scientific version of the guy that knows a little about a lot of things, but not a lot about anything.
He got the tism. Yeah. He got the tism hard.
He definitely does. I mean, I like the guy's voice. I like, the Cosmos. I like the Cosmos. Yeah, it's great. It's a really good thing to fall asleep to and watch cool fake pictures of the universe that aren't real at all, because we have no idea what they actually look like, because we just see things in infrared and crazy. I mean, we have guesstimations. Like, they just changed the color of Pluto, was it? Or no, not Pluto. It wasn't Saturn. It was
Mercury?
No, not Mercury. It may have been Venus. They changed one of the colors of the planets because they have a better idea of what the structure was now based on that. It's like a completely different shade than they thought it was. And that's after however long of us knowing that. I'm like, man, science is so ever changing that, like, to hold such a strong perspective on things that you don't know anything about as things are constantly developing, that's such a weird, and that bounces back to what you were saying, Hunter, about, these dudes that are in their 50s, they don't really know as much about engineering. They might be good in one specific field that they exceeded in whenever it was big when they were coming up. But if they're not changing with the stuff that's going on, then they're really doing a disservice to their degree. They're doing a disservice to the people that are going to follow them, because they're honestly they're shutting off the ability of growth and the ability of divergence from that point. Because when you get super hard stuck on like a point like aliens and stuff are never going to get here or whatever, I mean, that's just like a different, that's like one thing. We've always ran it like this. This is how we're going to run it. That's the sort of, it's the same mind frame. Mm-hmm. And you really don't allow for any growth. And like, when people have different points on things and a different opinion about something, or like a different connection, that's how you grow like an industry. And for somebody like Neil deGrasse Tyson to say that we're never going to come into contact with something that the government says is real, that seems like a really weird perspective. That's why I like the what's the Asian guy's name?
My goal in life is to become a fellow.
A fellow? A technical fellow?
Yes, that is my goal in life.
Since I sent you that PDF?
Oh yeah, I love it.
Dude, that's why I thought it was so difficult, and why I probably didn't say what you thought I was going to say for the top hill that you're going to die on. Is because everything is fucking changing so quick. I don't think when I'm older I'll have the same religious opinion. I don't think I'll have the same scientific opinion, because science is going to change. Everything we know is going to change dramatically in the next few years.
Yeah. I mean, you owe it to yourself to keep like reforming your ideas. I mean, I think that you kind of do yourself a disservice if you're not like taking in new information and kind of reworking the information that you already have, because you don't already know everything. You can't already know everything. That's crazy. And that's like a crazy perspective to have. You don't know what's going on.
Mr. deGrasse Tyson. Ugh.
Exactly. I mean, me personally, like I feel like I didn't start growing up until I was like 22. I'm like, when you asked me when I was 12, when I was 18, I was going to have everything figured out. I didn't have dude, when I turned 18, I didn't have anything figured out. I had nothing figured out. So I definitely don't think at 28 that I have anything else figured out beyond that. I think I've got a pretty well-established opinion on how I can run my life to the best of its ability. And, I fall short on that. So if I had like a perspective that was like a mind-blowing thing that connected like our entire existence to its next level of like establishment, like Neil deGrasse Tyson has, I mean, when he shuts down, anybody that would shut down like the next era of evolution or the next era of growth, advancement. Yeah. That feels like you aren't actually an expert at it. It feels like you are afraid of the next level of growth. So you're fighting against that next level of growth and trying to withstand it by trying to make it seem like you're the expert right now, and you shouldn't believe that other stuff.
You said something
I
earlier.
like that opinion.
Do what, Tyler?
You said something earlier that I had to write down. You used the phrase, and I think you said that you hate the phrase, which I agree, pick yourself up by your bootstraps, when you were talking about mental health.
Yeah.
I wrote it down because I didn't know. I learned somewhat recently, in the last year or so, that was actually the origins of that phrase. It was ironic, was to say pick yourself up by your bootstraps, is to actually like bend down, grab your bootstraps, and try to lift yourself off the floor. It's impossible. And so the phrase has been sort of taken up and say, pick yourself up by your bootstraps. But the actual phrase is, that's impossible. Like, telling me to perform better when I'm in a position of poverty is literally like telling me to lift myself off the floor from my bootstraps. It's not possible.
Wow.
That's nice. I didn't actually know the origin from that. I knew that it was...
now... Sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead. So now what?
Hunter's like, sorry, I'm a massive piece of shit.
Demeaning.
Yeah, it definitely seems demeaning. It seems like the people that you tell to pull up by their bootstraps are the people that don't need that. They're the people that they need actual some sort of enlightenment or some sort of change in their life that's going to make them perform better, not something that seems like an impossible feat that they already know that they're struggling with.
Or going back to William P. Halsey, they just need an opportunity. They need a challenge that they can rise to meet.
You're right.
Because I think poverty, abject
Everybody
poverty,
needs their Oedipus complex.
Yeah.
I mean, not complex. They're no.
Wait.
No, what am I trying to think? They need their...
The problem with
That's
poor
not
people
right.
is they don't fuck their mom enough.
Yeah.
Let's get Pete Davidson in here.
They need their hero arc, right? You gotta have the struggle. There's always a struggle, and you have to overcome that struggle.
Anyway, Percy Jackson's really good. For going, the Odyssey's fine. If we're just gonna start talking about back to Greek mythology.
Sorry.
You should watch Your Brother Where Art Thou. It's a great take on the Odyssey. Anyway,
It is.
no, you're right though. That's well, I don't know. I don't really know what you meant by that. However, damn, I really don't know how to segue next. But anyway, yes, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. That's a rough term for impossibility.
Sorry.
Anyway, I'm glad to hear that you guys have like a similar perspective on you have those people and that you. I mean, it may have even been a person that like you looked up to first and foremost because it's somebody that you like had established some sort of connection with. Tyler, go ahead.
I would like to say that yes, there are plenty of people out there who are overeducated and don't perform well when they participate, but there are people like Eric Weinstein. I don't know if you're familiar.
Yeah, he's perfect on all regards.
It's people like that show, like sometimes I think that I'm smart because I'm like production level smart. I am not academia smart. Eric like the people who can sit down and show you proofs and not just know the proofs mathematically, but know logically how that proof plays back and are like pushing the edges of what we understand. There are people like that out there, and they are PhDs.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson. I mean, he's a good perspective on that too.
I'm thinking more technical, but Jordan Peterson is objectively intelligent.
I mean, I was going more of like the emotional, like
Eric Weinstein can get like that sometimes. But sometimes I feel like they're just people like, yes, there's a bunch of PhDs who are idiots, but then I think there is a league of their own, which is it humbles me to think sometimes is like there are people up there who just like, yes, they've devoted their life to understanding concepts better than anyone else, and they are truly impressive at what they do. Eric Weinstein is one of those people. And obviously there's a bunch of theoretical physicists, people who are not in the limelight, but truly are academics and are far and above, like have devoted their lives to learning a concept as best as they can.
So you think that that's where that level can kind of reach its kind of like matching point? Is that's a pretty good person to look to for that.
I think that's just to show that there's merits in academia, and whenever academia is done correctly, I think that it is successful and it's important.
Those are like the academic fellows, the ones that are pushing the boundaries. Pushing the boundaries on science and academia.
Yeah, not the few, the proud, the nerds, the fellows. Tip the hat.
The fellows.
Yeah, I feel like I potentially interrupted your segue though, Alex. I apologize.
No, you're good. No, I was thinking of, I mean, on the same perspective that like Lex Friedman is a really good. Do you know a lot about Lex Friedman? Yeah. Lex Friedman's a good person. Like he's when he starts to talk about like people with AI and like extraterrestrial UFO stuff, man, it really starts to pique my interest because he's renowned for his abilities, for the things that he's learned and prepared for. Like he's he's studied, obviously. He's got multiple degrees. And I do trust people's perspective like that. And he seems like that level of, learned in practice. You know, he's like, you can just tell when somebody is to that level and they're able to talk about different things regarding to, you know, whatever it is that they specialize in, but they also are in tune with things that other people are specializing in, and they can interpret that information super well and then kind of spit it back at you. Like when that sort of thing, it's so impressive to me when people can do that. And that's like the exact opposite, right, of what this question is. It's like, you know, never confuse education with intelligence. It's like people that are intelligent and educated, they are endearing. They come off trustworthy. I mean, that's how a lot of like cultists start, because they seem intelligent and and they seem smart and educated at the same time. But Lex Friedman's a really good perspective on a lot. Do you guys like him? Do you listen to his podcast or anything?
I don't know who it is.
What? You gotta watch his podcast.
You do. I think you would like his stuff. He's really smart. You know, a lot of the stuff that he says goes way over my head because talking to Tyler about stuff goes so over my head.
Oh, same here.
That cannot be true.
So on those same levels, man, I can't keep up with a lot of it, but he has like simple guests on that like I have a lot that I like am super interested in, and he is able to talk to them and get the knowledge out of them. He seems interested in all of the knowledge, not just like the thing that he specializes in. I think that's a fun way of living life. You know, it'd be really cool to specialize in something like astrophysics or you know, some sort of some sort of development or computer sciences or something like that, but also be super intrigued by all this other stuff and have a platform that you're able to like talk to all these people that also specialize. Like that'd be pretty cool, man. I'm jealous of that.
I think you would connect with Lex Friedman very well. He's a computer scientist, and he definitely it shows in his podcast that sort of language that he speaks, which is the computer language. He understands that very well.
But he's also pretty emotionally intelligent too, and he's not just like ones and knows himself, which is kind of a different. A lot of people that go into that, you can tell that they're Reddit coders. You know, it's that.
I'll have to make this my new work playlist.
You should, yeah. You should just start listening to his stuff, and I'm sure that he's had a lot of people on his podcast that you know. I mean, he's got a famous podcast, so obviously he's got podcasters on. He's friends with all the big people, so.
Dude, his interview with Mark Zuckerberg made me very excited for the metaverse.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. It's pretty. They did it all in metaverse.
And it was wild. It was very good.
It was wild. It was wild. You could barely tell that it wasn't them.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you could tell because you know, and you already have that, and you can see it. But like a couple years, you're not going to be able to tell, man.
Yep.
It's crazy. I mean, I know that they kind of oversold metaverse a few years ago. I just don't think the technology was quite there. But they have all the capabilities that when it is there, and I'm sure that they've got things that are way beyond consumer base right now. But like, I mean, it's the possibility of being like exactly what you would assume the AI in Metaverse would be like. You're just it's like Ready Player One. Hanging out with your buddies in a crazy video game on a trackpad, a human sized hamster wheel that you're running and gunning.
I'm so
racing
ready
cars.
for that day.
Yeah, and that's the kind of vibe that you get from that. You would love Lex Friedman. He talks about a lot of stuff like that too, and he kind of puts a fun turn on it too. That I think a lot of us can kind of vibe with. It's not like a negative, like AI's taking over the world, we're gonna all die sort of thing. Like, it seems like he has a pretty positive perspective on all this cool technology stuff going on. But speaking on all of that and the podcast world, you got Lex Friedman and all that talking with he had David Grush on recently, I believe, and they talked about some UFO stuff. For this third question, boys, we're getting back into the ET world. Of course, we always try and touch base on this every few episodes or whatever because it's such a fun, ongoing thing. The Pentagon is coming out with information left and right, and people really don't know how it's supposed to be discerned, how you're supposed to take it, what's true, what's not true, how should you weigh things on a level of actually happening. And we can get into a little bit of the current news here in a bit, but the third question is fun. It's very fun, and I love the movie Contact and that's kind of what generated this question. And I love the book's good too, but the movie Contact kind of touches base on this. But if we had first contact tomorrow, or if we had first contact and the ETs were to come out, they meet with us. They meet with our world leaders, which is kind of a scary thing to even think about. Maybe they would choose gurus to meet with. I don't know, the chosen people. And it were to be like a definite one-for-one exchange where you know exactly what they're saying. It's not being misinterpreted. I'm sure you've seen the movie Arrival, which is pretty good. They had to learn the language that was being spoken by these entities. If they said something that would completely change everything that we know, and our whole perspective on the entire universe, what do you think that they could say that would really cause that stir? And I really want to know, is it something fun? Is it something crazy? Like, I have an answer, but it's kind of like, I don't really know how to take it. And Tyler, you first answered the first question, so this is your question, and I really want to know what you're going to say.
So I am very, very prepared. I'm very excited. But I went first, then Hunter. I think that you should lead us off if you're ready for that, or do you think your response?
Okay, let's hear it, Hunter.
No, I said Alex. You should lead us
Alex.
off.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah. So I think that if they said something about God, I think that would be I don't even know how we would interpret it. I don't know what would happen, but I think that if they said something about some sort of almighty, maybe not, any specific God, just like something that they know. They are obviously so beyond what we are that would then be in the back of a lot of people's mind. That would stir things up. That would reform anything that we believe in, anything that we move towards. We would then seek that and somehow. And that might drive technology. That might throw things back because there would be chaos and disorder. Like, I think that would really throw a wrench into things. We wouldn't know which way to go, which direction to take it. So if they said something about the top, whatever the top is, God, the eternal being of some sort, the thing that caused all of this to happen, and they knew for sure what it was and were able to just like tell us that thing, man, that would really cause some sort of stir.
Are you aware that David Grush has already made comments on that and said that?
I have, yeah. They've touched on souls, like that the human being is some sort of generated power cell for the soul or something like that.
He also said that specifically the implications will both affirm and reject theological stories, biblical stories of certain religions. He didn't say specifically Christianity, but there's like the big three. There's
the big three.
Yeah. So and we've gotten into text message of me ranting on this. So what sort of things? So as a fun fact, I'm in the process of convincing my father-in-law that he's going to be a Scientologist. He's close. He's close. He's down with aliens, and he thinks that aliens are God. I just need to get him to the air we breathe is Lord Zenu's space cum, and that we're all going to have our own planet, and that now he's a Scientologist. Well, I'll get him there.
Yep. That's the one. That's the OG video.
So when you do say that the implication for God being that, I mean, you yourself are a Christian.
I am a Christian.
Do you think that would be that would cement your religious opinion or views, or do you think that would sort of question more?
Yeah, I left it kind of vague because, like, it could lead to. It depends what they say, if they say something about, if they obviously start calling names, I mean, things are going to get weird. So, but I don't think it would be like that. I think it would be they would probably use the word because it has so much, like, power and kind of across the board has a lot of unity, would be creator. I think that would be a word that they would use because most religions have that as the starting base. And I think that would lead to a lot of people it would affirm, if they just use that, I mean, that would affirm things that I feel, things that I already know to be true, but also, it's really hard to say. It's really hard to say. Maybe a lot of these stories are just allegory that meant that these things did happen. Now, here's an establishment of rules that would allow for some sort of, even culture to take place. It's hard to say because that's normally how most religions start, and that's kind of their basis is with these rules, things can prosper in certain aspects and, do with that what you will. But that creator aspect, that is a crazy thing to think about if ET came and said that, because that would mean that, I mean, maybe none of ours are true and whatever they're thinking is true. And what if they're just as crazy on the religious aspect as we are and we just have to believe them? Then that's a whole different thing.
So something I'm curious about is, you've given this for your answer for the most mind-blowing. Let's say aliens come down and all the biblical stories are 100% accurate. God is real, intelligent design, completely as you've believed for your life. Are you saying that just that reckoning of like absolute truth would be mind-blowing for you, or are you saying that for the people who do not believe, that would be mind-blowing?
I think there's a difference between... Go ahead.
So I'd say there's a difference between faith and you're like, yes, I believe this thing, and I feel like there's got to be some sort of gap between like, I have faith, I believe this thing, and then like actually knowing 100% for a fact this is true. Even if you believed it, like even if you had 100% faith, there's still got to be some sort of...
I feel like it would be terrifying in a way.
It'd be really scary. I think having the things that you believe in to 100%, having them 100% confirmed, that is something scary. If you know something about your life, and like if you knew that you were about to get a drawing to win $1 billion, that'd be terrifying. That would be really scary. So imagine something that would be like the livelihood of everything existing at any time for you. I mean, that does hold a lot of weight. Now, I mean, we all have those things where we're like, man, I told you I was right about this. So, I mean, of course that would feel good. But I think overall it would maybe, obviously it would establish some sort of, there would be no resentment. It would be more like I would be excited for what's to come from that, because that seems like a positive thing that would happen, despite it causing just as much chaos beyond that. So it's like that's a really hard thing to have confirmed. That's why the word faith is such a strong word, because like it's something that you believe in despite having like weight on either side telling you that it's either not true, or having other people disagree with the things that you say. But you have faith that something, you're holding on to it, So having that confirmed by ETs, that'd be really weird, obviously. But I think that it would be extremely fun to watch what would happen after that, I will say.
Something you said made me think of that, let's say the extraterrestrials have, or NHI have some sort of, they have the knowledge, they know which one is right, and that the entire world is sitting there watching some sort of broadcast while they like rolling like little ping pong balls for the lottery numbers of like, is it Muhammad? Is it Jesus? Is it Vishnu? Is it nothing? And there's like, oh, and everyone's there like, oh, and they're like, it's Jesus, and everyone's like, fuck, and then all the Christians are like, yeah,
yeah, Jesus. The Jews are like, ugh, not the real Jesus. Sorry, I'm just kidding. Sorry, Israel. I support you.
it's Israel.
Israel.
And then,
It's fun. It is a fun thing to think about, though. That do you think that first and foremost, while Hunter's having a conversation elsewhere, do you think that first contact will happen in our lives? I mean, is it something you think is possible, or some sort of first contact of some sort?
first contact, I believe, has already happened.
I think it's already happened too. But like a recorded, like actually let to the public, like this actually happened.
So again, if you believe Jeremy Corbell, David Grush, Dan
I
Sheehan, then there's already a recorded interview between human people and an NHI, recorded in English.
The guy in the Pentagon just confirmed this, didn't he?
He did.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the big thing that's come out of the right now. Like disclosure is
This
happening.
is like within 2 weeks too. This is like 2-week news, I believe.
If you go back, the Army officer who is supposed to take over for Dr. Kirkpatrick on the head of Arrow, he released prior to the beginning of the year a plan for disclosure throughout 2024, and that was leaked. And so far, everything has lined up. Granted, it's only been 6 weeks since that release,
Yeah.
but everything has lined up. You've got the jellyfish UFO video. You've got
Dude, 2 jellyfish UFO videos.
several now. You got a cruise ship that also has released them. Is that the one you were talking about? The other one?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
There were like
Several
2 people with cameras on the phone or on the cruise ship too.
Yep.
It was crazy, man.
And then Jeremy Corbell released 2 or maybe 3 videos of the jellyfish.
That was the one, and it can hide its temperature reading.
So that was. There's some debate there over whether, as the camera was moving through, it was auto ranging based on the background and just changing the foreground jellyfish based on the background.
Okay.
But it's a possibility that it was.
Yeah, I believe that. I don't know enough about the subject to say whether or not that could be applicable. I assume that that's probably something that definitely happened and probably has happened.
I think it's such a fucking joke when people say they're an expert at UAPs and you say that I don't know enough about the subject. Nobody knows enough about the subject. Nobody.
Yeah.
It's like we are the experts. We put that on our resume. Nobody fucking knows.
Hunter, you good? Hunter, you good?
Hunter, you gay?
Why can't I hear you?
I don't know, man. Because
Can
you
you guys hear
disconnected. Yeah, we can. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, give me 1 second. I'm sorry.
You're good.
So, I do think that contact has happened.
It says it's going through my head.
I'm very willing to be proven wrong. Again, I'm not like.
Yeah.
I
mean,
think
I
just
think
statistically.
do you think it probably happened? When did they say
Are
that
you
it
guys
happened?
just fucking with me? Because I swear to God, if you
No, we're not fucking with you.
We're not. When did it say that that interview happened? Was that?
The interview.
Have they disclosed that yet? I don't remember. I'm just curious on the information, but I assume that ever since that we've been having like a lot of I don't know, probably since the 20s or 30s. That's probably when it happened. Is probably like the 60s or so, 65. I'm guessing. No, that's too late. Maybe they've had multiple. Did they capture this being? Did the being just like appear and want to have first contact? I don't
know. And
no,
we're the
I
experts.
saw a video like 12 years ago that was cycling early YouTube at the time. And it was like a viral video of an alien getting it was like a viral video of an alien getting interviewed. I thought it was real as shit at the time. I'm curious to know if it was real as shit.
Alright, I can hear again.
Okay, nice. Welcome back,
I'm
sir.
sorry about that, guys.
Dude, that's the wild thing is that now we are saying that all these things that you've been told are crockpot shit like Roswell, they're real. And so you go back and you question everything.
Yeah. It's weird, man. It's a really strange time to be alive. It's kind of this is one of the most unique times to be alive, I think. I think that we're really lucky, and a lot of people take it for granted, like I know that everybody has their own stresses and their own crazy things going on, but like being able to witness all this other stuff going on is insane. Like, it's a crazy thing to say that you were able to witness.
I mean, I think we're kind of hitting like a historical landmark, you know?
Yeah.
I think we're
And we always base things off of like historical records, like this happened then, but they're definitely going to be talking about these things in the future, but they might not, because the way that technology is developing and moving forward, I mean, we all know Edison, we all know Tesla, we all know, Thomas Jefferson, like we all know these people that created the things that we are able to utilize today, but I can't name the person that invented the whatever it was to be able to have this keyboard and mouse be able to work the way that they were. And those are the things that affect me the most. Like the cool Ford created the assembly line, or he perfected the assembly line, and created the Model T, whatever. But I don't know who developed the car that I've put 200,000 miles on, and those are the things that that I've actually had affected in my life. But now, Tyler, Hunter, which one of you want to answer this question now? Because I need to know what you guys are going to say would be the most staggering and mind-blowing thing that could ever happen.
Hunter, you want to be the ringer, or do you want me to be the ringer?
You go ahead.
And be the last person, or be the next person?
Oh, sorry. I'll be the ringer.
Okay.
Nice.
So I was nervous, and I think I've overcompensated, just like I did with the previous questions. And so I immediately wrote down that I did not want to talk about the obvious, which was extra dimensions, like as if you're immediately pulled into a different perspective where now, holy shit, you can see in the third. So as a third dimension being, you can only see in 2D. Everything we see is only in 2D. A fourth dimensional being can see in 3D. If we were just suddenly yoinked into that fourth dimension, you could see in 3 dimension, we wouldn't fucking know what was going on. That would be literally mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And then you talk
about... It would be mind-blowing, but we also wouldn't be able to do anything with that information. Like, we can't even conceive what that means, We
would be babies
What
again.
if they allowed it?
We would
if they allowed for it somewhat. I mean, we would... Maybe if they showed it to us... If they showed us like a video, I don't know, something that we
have a YouTube tutorial.
Yeah. Well, you can only assume that they would, if they're already communicating with us in a way that we can tell what they're saying, you would assume that they would communicate with us in the way that we'd be able to conceive what they're saying, not just like. I mean, I don't think that they would. Do you think that they would say something so mind blowing, but we wouldn't be able to do with that information? I mean, just like Contact, that whole movie is about first contact being so crazy that no one believes you, that you have no perspective on what they're saying because it doesn't make any sense. You've never seen it. You can't even comprehend what is going on. And so I assume that they're to that level in like a comprehensive aspect. So, I mean, we'd also have to assume that they probably have a way to communicate both ways, but we're probably not going to understand. I mean, even the God thing. And if they said that, that's so mind-blowing, but like, what does that mean? We'd have to always seek the answers for it.
So that was my first example of what my answer is not. Of 3.
No. And I don't disagree with that. That would still be a mind-blowing.
No, that would be insane. That would change everything. And I like to think, what if, do you know the WOW signal? The radio signal we were leaving that was like on the hydrogen line?
Yeah.
What if that was first contact? What if that was first contact and the government was immediately like, hoink, you can't know any of this.
So what was it?
The WOW signal. It was a national laboratory that received a radio signal, or read a radio signal from space that was along the same frequency of the hydrogen line, which is what people look for like an intelligent life. And it's known as the WOW signal because the person who printed off the radio reading wrote really big on it, WOW, and circled it. Or OMG.
Ended up being iceberg, right?
Iceberg?
Oh, iceberg or a whale or something, wasn't it?
No, it was
no,
just unknown. They couldn't determine the origins, and they said that they've never seen it again. A little secretive.
It's a little secretive. They'll never speak of it again.
Yep. I mean, they continue.
And I mean, and we can only so. When I said first contact, in my head, obviously, I'm thinking like, nice to meet you, alien. What you got to say? That sort of scenario. But like first contact through like a signal through mathematics or something like that, that would seem like the genuine way that they would say it, or an emergency, an SOS signal.
Yeah, that was the things we were looking for. Was the like Fibonacci sequence, prime numbers, hydrogen line, and we found the hydrogen line. But the second one that I'm not going to mention, you mentioned arrival. Time being nonlinear would be another one. Or like changing our understanding of time would be a mind blower. And then the third that I'm not going to say of my answer is simulation theory, which is that yoink Matrix style. We all have become familiar with simulation theory.
I mean, yeah, the thing about the Matrix theory, or it really is the whole perspective of if it has even a percentage of existing, it probably is what's running whatever it is going on right now. And that's the scary thing to think about with that one, because there is a good chance that that's exactly what's happening right now. If that's real, might not be real. If it is real, then we are in the Matrix. If it is Israel, then that is what is going on right now. And that's the weird thing too. What if these things that we are like first contact, like these UFOs and stuff that we're seeing, are just like little glitches in the system, and we're about to break out of the system?
What if we're being Truman showed?
So, something I think about. Gosh, I still haven't got to my answer. I'm sorry. Something I think about with that is whenever you got people like Tucker Carlson who says that there's a dark side to UFOs and there's like this looming presence. One, is that just someone trying to throw you off the trail, or is that, hey, when we know this, it's the end. This simulation is over. Like, that's when you get to, like, you wanted to know this? This was so important to you? Okay, it's all over now.
Yeah. It could also have the perspective of this is all, if the government's telling you it's true, then it's not, and they're hiding something else that's actually happening that's much more crazy and in a different perspective like that. But, man, it's scary to think about negative implications that this sort of thing can happen. And the best case scenario you can think of is if in a first case or in a first contact situation, I think that the most, not ideal, but the most logical way that one would actually happen is somebody's about to push the big red button and something intervenes and was like, not quite. No, this is not exactly what's going on here.
Oh gosh. Oh man.
Go ahead.
I don't want to get on a tangent. Something I get excited about is people give JFK a lot of credit for cooling tensions during the Cold War. But we've got, what is his name? Robert Hastings wrote UFOs and Nukes. Very good book. I have not read it. I'll just say that out loud. I had ChatGPT summarize it for me, and it was fantastic.
Very good book, yeah. It's more or less the correlation between UFO sightings happening in nuclear sort of situations, right?
And multiple countries have reported anomalies with the UFO phenomena with respect to their nuclear plants, nuclear facilities. But even the UFO, or the jellyfish UFO, was, in one of the videos, was with a nuclear facility. I've got a theory. They seem to be very interested in preserving the planet and in nuclear. I've got a theory because there were 12 documented times where it came down to one person's decision during the Cold War to not start nuclear war, to not launch a missile. They were the only person, and they decided to not launch a missile. That's highly unlikely. I think
that is highly unlikely.
I think what is becoming potentially just as likely, I wouldn't say more likely, just as likely, is that they pushed the button. They did it. And that something stopped them. And that it wasn't like that JFK specifically would have known that. He would have known that if there was like, hey, we pushed the button. We tried to start nuclear war. We thought we were doing the right thing. And something stopped us. JFK then would be motivated to tell the public and would be killed. So conspiracy theory.
Ooh, oh man. Have you heard this somewhere? Is this something that you've come up with?
Something I came up with.
Dude, this would make a killer. This would make a really killer Reddit post or a video.
Yeah.
I think if you put together like a 10-minute video on this and just kind of like, that is a correlation that I've never heard before.
That is amazing.
That is very fun, and it's honestly not that unbelievable, especially with that era of things. It's really not, man.
Yeah, very, very
That's
documented.
crazy.
We're hearing now.
Tyler, you are too smart for me.
I'm not that smart.
I now believe in that conspiracy theory. Dang it! that is now the hill that I die on, boys.
Yep.
So then to my actual answer.
Yes. Now that you've had 4 that you don't believe in, let's see.
So mind-blowing ET revelations. I think once I backed off from those obviously insane mind-blowing, I go back to Copernicus in the heliocentric view of the universe, and I'd say, like, that was, at least from us looking back, we don't know what people felt at the time, but at least for the Catholic Church, which was very powerful, that was mind-blowing. That was too much. That was, I've got to kill this person to protect my heliocentric view of the universe in favor of Earth-centric, geocentric.
Mm-hmm.
The second that aliens, who presumably are more advanced than us, come and say, "Here, we're going to let you into this secret. There's other life." De facto, we no longer have. We know. I wrote it down. So
I want to hear it, man.
Earth is no longer from our galactic point. We don't have, that I know, an absolute reference for the universe and traversing. We're suddenly a small quadrant of this map that they'll share with us. Like, boom, here you go. You're not Earth, this one solar system that you all learn about with Pluto, and not Pluto anymore, but these planets and this solar system with this Oort cloud. You're this. You're Biloxi, Mississippi on a planet.
Marble. Yeah.
And we all have to come to terms with that. And I think that for the scientific community, obviously there's going to be a big upset. But I think learning reference is something that I think about a lot as an electrical engineer, because everything with electrical potential is all about reference. Is that we're no longer just floating and our sun is our reference point and everything out there we kind of vaguely know, but we have an absolute reference that isn't defined by us. And so we'll lose agency on that, I'd say. Is that now we're participating in a system that's been set up long before us, and we're having to adapt to that. I think that that'll change psychologically how we feel about ourselves. I think that'll change how we participate with science. We're going to be playing catch-up. The human race is no longer in control of its own destiny per se. So they'll have mapped the cosmos more extensively, coordinate their or we will have to fit into their system, just like we have the imperial system, the metric system. Now they're going to have their own measurement system for determining distances between stars. They're going to have their own coordinate grids. They're going to have their own math. They're going to have their own number system. Like, the ripple effects through academia are not just going to be like, oh, there are aliens, oh, this is God, oh, something like that, constructs that we already understand. It'll be like, oh, our decimal system, when we count to 10 and it repeats 10, 11, 12, 13, they don't do that. They have a better number system. And we're going to have to adopt that just because it's better and it makes more sense with the coordinate. We're going to change math. We're going to change literature potentially. We're going to change language. Maybe they've just developed, say, people talk about the possibility of telepathic communication. It's not just going to be like written language or spoken language that changes. It's going to be our actual understanding of language. Like things on a basic level to say that we're this primate species that has evolved to a point where we can talk about electronics and we can talk about space beings. No, there's going to be a fundamental paradigm shift of like who we are as people. And like we are right now, I don't think a lot of people think about it, but extremely primitive. We came out of the dirt 300 to 500 years ago. Like, and now we've got all of this, and we think it's awesome, and it is pretty awesome comparatively. It's nothing.
It's obviously awesome, but like compared to First Contact, I mean, it's like you said, like from dirt. I mean, we can look back and think that, the Roman Empire 2,000 years ago, they were great at irrigation, they were great at moving water around, they had crazy stuff like that. But I mean, imagine creating something that could just like go from here to here, and just like you can't even wrap your head around it, especially when you're talking about like the way that they would say and explain it to us. So I mean, first and foremost, you would have to assume that, you would hope that they would give you some sort of input on what that communication is, what that mathematics is, and these kind of answers. Now, if they just said that they use this sort of version of it, and then we still have to find the way to make it and utilize that information. I mean, I think that goes along with the human growth that we kind of know and understand. But like, are you talking that they'll just drop this in our laps and allow us to utilize it? Or do you think that they'll just give us the information and hope that we can move in that direction?
So I'm talking, hopefully, ideally, aliens, non-human intelligent, would feel some sort of responsibility to teach us or to help us bridge the gap to their understanding. But they've got no reason to need to do that. They could just say, "Sup guys, we're here," and we've got to play catch up and be like, "Holy shit." So it wouldn't be like, "Hey, this is the number system you should use. Here you go, guys, learn about these extra numbers." It would be, we're going to have divisions of engineers and mathematicians for hundreds of years that are dedicated to learning how they've done, like reverse engineering what they've done, which apparently we're already doing. And that's going to result in changing our structures. For hundreds of years, we've done the dozenal system for counting. We've got algebra, calculus, physics. We've got these geometry, trigonometry, these types of mathematics. There will be new mathematics. And that's going to be paradigm shifting. Maybe not for the ordinary person who is still going to be focused on, you've got to participate in this capitalist system, which that is not going to be immediately overwhelming to. But the people trying to push the forefront, and eventually that's going to trickle down to everyone. It's going to change everything. Everything that you learned, you'll be back to an elementary school level. And that's why I think it's so mind-blowing, is that suddenly these people who thought, I thought whenever I was younger, I was very annoyed in like high school, because like, there's all the good discoveries are done. People got fire in the wheel. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
No. There's so much to figure out. And even whenever you go to like today in work, I was chasing down, there's a phenomenon that was happening with, when you high pot test a 3-phase induction motor under vacuum, you get you fail the high pot reading. And then I did some research online. I learned about Paschon's law and the curve. And there's what seems to be a black spot in research. There's not enough academic papers to reflect why, whenever you put a vacuum, that dielectric strength of the air decreases to the point where you get flashover. Does that have applications in other industries?
Oh.
Nothing online tells me that. Like, it is relatively easy to reach the extents of where we're at right now, even at our current technology, where we've got people who have economic incentive to push the limits. So if I'm already there and suddenly the bar gets moved thousands, millions of years forward, everyone's just going to be playing catch up. And I've spoken enough about that, so I'm sorry for
No, you're man. I mean, it's like
that was great.
It's like Quetzalcoatl, to like South American, ancient civilizations. Somebody came, taught them irrigation, farming, taught them how to do math, how to build, how to structure civilization. It's like that would feel how it is to us, and that's almost why I think that first contact has already happened. But it would come, if it came now, we would be able to actually, we understand it to the point of being able to like actually succeed farther into the cosmos with it, instead of just being like, okay, now we can build corn terraces that feed our families for generations.
RuneScape analysis, or analogy. Imagine you as a maxed player have a level 3 in Lumbridge who is asking you questions and is saying that it's your responsibility to teach them how to play the game. That's the alien creature to us. Like, it's not their responsibility to teach us how to play the game. Figure it out yourself. We did it. You know, that's part of the game.
Yeah.
So that's what I think about, is if you have alien contact, does that species necessarily think that it's their responsibility to train us?
Yeah, you see the scale that they're at, and then now thrive to be at that scale and figure out how they got to that level.
That's exactly how I think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that, man. That's a damn good take on this subject.
Yeah.
I think that you saved the best perspective for, the ones that you said before that. Those are good topics. Yeah, no, they're not trash, but those are the ones that a lot of people will not regurgitate on, but they kind of bring up perspective on, like, oh, what if they said this, or this would be mind blowing, but that's a pretty good take on it, man. If they just like came and gave us enough to thrive, not thrive, but it would leave us.
Here's 100K noob.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You give 500K to a noob, and he might blow it on cutting gyms or some bullshit because he doesn't understand what's going on in the game. But
exactly. And I do feel bad for having taken so much time whenever I'm very excited for Hunter's response. But I do want to say, nice. There we go. I do want to say a new revelation, since you guys liked the JFK thing. Maybe it won't be as good, but. I
am excited for this one. Go for it, sir.
I've always thought that it's very strange that aliens, the Greys, that apparently, according to David Grush and according to these, what we've considered to be the forefront of UAP whistleblowers or people who know about the subject, have said that descriptions of the Greys are accurate. Naked, diminutive, wide-eyed, physically unimposing. Like, that is a strange being to be visiting us whenever you've got evolution and, like, supposedly survival of the fittest is still the thing. Which makes me think something I've only recently thought is that they have to be diminutive by design. There's got to be a reason that they're so unassuming, so unthreatening. Is that because it's intentional?
Yeah,
it's presented to us that way. And then you think about why would
can they, like, they're giving the perspective of something that we've already been in tune with? Like, we know the Greys. Everybody when somebody thinks of an alien, they either think of, like, E.T. or Paul. It's like that.
They've purposely picked an unassuming character
that
we would find unassuming in order to assimilate or to take over.
So I hadn't thought about what Alex is saying, is that it might be vice versa. It might be that the fiction predated the reality instead of vice versa. But for my assumption, what I had been assuming is that the reality predated the fiction, and that the fiction was predicated on the reality, which is...
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the implications of that was that they are not the actual aliens. They did not go through the same biological track that we would expect to reach that conclusion, because it wouldn't make sense for a spacefaring. But that they are genetically engineered and or biological machines.
Yeah.
Which
that is the perspective that I have on what they are. On the ETs, what they are is an antenna receiving a connection. These are drones, and what the level of like cerebral comprehension, like what the highest level that a person can get to is the ethos. You're this is a person, and being able to plug that into that is what an ET would be. I think that's the highest level that they are, and that could be AI too.
And one thing to finish that off before I shut the fuck up, because I'm sorry I've talked so much.
No, you're good. I love this topic.
This is a great conversation.
So I did them. Whenever you talk about, I feel like people get wrapped up a lot with, well, if we wanted to travel to the Andromeda, something that's 1,000 light years away, it's going to take 1,000 years. People, I think, do not think enough about relativistic speeds and what that happens to time, because you've got the advantage of the observer. Is if you wanted to travel at, let's say, 98% the speed of light to a destination 1,000 light years away, you can do the math. The math is already known pretty well. Maybe it's wrong, but we do have the math to say what that effect is on time. And for you to travel at 98% the speed of light, saying that was possible, to a destination 1,000 light years away, it's going to take you under a month from your time. But you've got to think, if the things that are, like, if physics exists as we know it, and they don't have new physics, and they don't have new laws of physics, and haven't broken anything, the things that are coming to us and that we're seeing have taken that journey. By their perspective, it's only been a few weeks. But it would be, for their home planet and for us, it will have been 1,000-year journey. And you got to think, what person, what being would do that, would agree to leave every person that they've ever known behind to die, to come here? And the only answer that I could come to is cementing the belief that it is not an actual person, but a biological robot or engineered entity that's here specifically to observe the planet.
Right, but also there is the whole thing of moving, like, inner gravitate. I mean, the what's his name? Bob Lazar, he talks about when they were test driving the UFOs. It was like a blink. It was like from here to here immediately. So if you were a person enduring that, assuming that it was safe from G's while you're in this, gravitational pocket, you're not getting affected by the things going on around it, so the inertia is not going to fucking kill you if you go from here to here, assuming that is how it is. I mean, who's to say that it couldn't be a being moving from here to here and they're just tourists?
That's fair. It could be.
I mean, I feel like it's the same probability because we don't know, but do you think that we're ever going to find out that sort of, because that's the stuff that drives crazy. They're like, they just want to know. They want to know, first and foremost, it's split. People either believe in aliens or whatever, or they don't. People have either seen a video that they're like, oh, this is inconclusive, whatever. Or there's people that are like, wow, UFOs exist. I saw this video. This makes me believe this 100%. I mean, it would obviously take something remarkable to happen for us to even have that perspective.
I don't know anyone who doesn't believe in UFOs at this point. I've never met.
Yeah.
At least in the last year.
I mean, I know people that they don't trust the government so much that they don't believe anything that they're saying is, I mean, unless they actually saw one with their own eyes, they just straight up would not believe it. Because, I mean, the government is still just something up here that you abide by at a certain level based on how it affects your local community. But, I mean, you're not interacting with those people. You just have to kind of endure the things that they put in place. And the trickle-down effect that takes place wherever you end up,
Tyler, why are you shaking your wine?
Thank you. Nobody asked me, and I was so not
aerating. He's aerating.
Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, it's a redneck aerator.
Oh, okay.
It's just a mason jar that you shake up, and it aerates the wine. Alex knew.
Fair enough.
I really wanted someone to ask me.
I'm an alcoholic.
I've noticed it every time, and I've been meaning to ask, but we've been.
I didn't want to ask you. The only reason I didn't want to ask is because I knew that he wanted me to ask, and I knew that he was aerating and wanted me to ask about him aerating his fucking wine. So I just said no, I'm not gonna do it.
You know me too well. I'm very pretentious. It's my thing.
Yeah, you are very pretentious, but we love that about you.
Thank you.
That's what drives your super hard opinions and perspectives on all these different questions that we ask, because I was super excited to hear both, like, what you were both gonna say on this, but I knew Tyler would have like a really fun one, but not the one that we expected. And
yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. I mean, I hadn't thought that in depth about it, and it was my freaking question, dude.
I've got like 64 other theories that we'll say.
I figure the JFK one, you really need to write that down and get it posted somewhere. You might not make it out of it alive, but that is a very fun thing to think about, because, I mean, with everything that was going on around that time, who's to say that sort of thing didn't happen?
I mean, yeah.
You gonna tell me that all these countries spent billions of dollars developing this technology that none of them used to get a one-up on everybody else?
And you said there was, 12 chances?
12 documented written chances of times where it came down to a single person who had to make the decision whether or not to launch a nuclear weapon.
I don't believe it.
Yeah,
That's
and that's assuming that one person had enough, non-self-interest, that they weren't paid off, that they didn't have. I mean, we always claim that these governments are like paid. They're paid up by the biggest bidder at the top level for the people making these decisions.
Dude.
It legitimately sounds like something that probably happened, and I believe that now. I do. I am now an advocate for that.
Thank you.
I love that perspective, dude. That's sick.
I'll tell you, I've been in the military on a submarine where effectively you're just waiting for the order to launch a missile.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, if you went to any of the people who are responsible for launching that missile, they are trigger happy as fuck. If they got like so much as a sneeze and it sounded a lot like fire the missile, they'd be like, oh fuck. So any person who is sitting there who is, effectively a crony, whenever you're talking about some of the nations that were involved in that, maybe that's just, propaganda, but Fidel Castro's staff in Cuba, Putin, the major players during the Cold War,
right?
You talk about it came down to Igor in Bulgaria, whether or not to launch a long-range nuclear missile, and they had it on good authority that something had happened and that they had to protect their family, and they were probably pumped up with adrenaline, thinking, this is what I've trained for, this is the moment. I know my procedures, I've reached every single this, and this that it takes for me to launch, but I think I should be a good person and I shouldn't do that. It's just not realistic to me.
Yeah.
I don't think that the gunned up 22-year-old who's sitting there on an island in Cuba, who has been trained his whole entire life for this is your responsibility, not your whole entire life, but the past 3 years, which for a 22-year-old is their entire life, for
right.
This is your responsibility. If you don't get this order in this amount of time, and you have reasonable suspicion that there's been this launch, you have to protect your family or else everyone's going to die and it's all on you. They're launching that. And that's the headspace that they're in. And that happened 12 times. I don't know.
Man, they should have ended Oppenheimer with a UFO abduction or something. That would have been so sick.
Oppenheimer did end with UFO abduction at the theater in the theater that you worked in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there was
That's
a UFO
true.
abduction there.
Yeah, there was definitely an abduction of sorts.
But Hunter has been calm and ready this entire
He
time.
He has been, and I am.
No,
But they keep on
mine's
forgetting.
nearly as detailed and in depth as Tyler's was.
Well, listen, you told Tyler that you wanted to end, so
I did.
Hey,
I don't know why I did that. That was stupid.
Let's clear the air here. Detailed and in depth is for fucking nerds. I need just a passionate, cool, not detailed. Details for nerds. I need a cool Hunter response. The Eugene himself is no nerd.
Borderlines on some of the topics that you didn't want to talk about, but I feel like a large mind-blowing thing for, well, at least for me, but I feel like for humanity would be the knowledge of perpetual motion. I think
0-point energy source.
Yeah, like an infinite energy source, perpetual motion. I think that would be, that would be life-changing. It'd be world-changing.
yeah,
Damn, that's a good answer.
that is a good answer. They say the saying is the hardest thing about building a perpetual motion machine is hiding the batteries.
Exactly.
So, that would be that would be a huge one, man. That's a pretty good line though, because there's never been one built, because they're not built. The ones that have been built are fake, and that would solve so many things as far as free energy goes. And I think that goes to the whole like Bob Lazar thing with the
Element 115.
Element 115, yeah, that was discovered 20 years after he was openly talking about it. They discovered it for the on the elemental or whatever.
Yeah, technically, there's elements all the way up to infinity. Just as how much can you cram into
That's true.
a structure,
That's true.
and how long does it survive that way?
It's true. He was correct about some of the
Properties?
the details on it, the properties of it. Yeah, which it's not making anything float or have free gravitational energy or anything like that. But we also don't have any of it. It was what they discovered it because of the what is the name of that big facility that grabs
CERN.
No,
Not CERN?
no, not CERN.
You're talking about the collider, right?
No, not the. Oh, was it discovered by by
Mm-hmm.
CERN? Okay, well, never mind then.
So I'd say we don't know the properties. Material scientists have like presumed what the properties would be, but we don't have any stable
Right.
isotopes of element 115
Okay.
that we can create. So it's still a lot up in
Lazar's
the
a
air.
liar, man. Bob Lazar's a liar, and I don't trust him.
So I don't think Bob Lazar is a liar.
No, I don't think he is either.
So I am very curious since all of us have touched some element of manufacturing, and I think I'm very passionate about manufacturing, and I think that the economic impact of 0 point energy source is very prevalent in manufacturing. What do you guys think? If energy suddenly became free, what would be the effect on the economy and your day-to-day life?
I
mean, everything would change immediately. There would be
feel like we would start to see real technological growth for one. I mean, you've taken away such a huge limit.
Yeah. How many things are bound upon, like energy? I mean,
energy
like
constraints.
That would take too much energy. I mean, it would change a lot. I think it would thrash a lot of industries that exist right now, which would be good. I mean, you'd get rid of coal, you would get rid of all of these things that have dangers.
Get rid of oil industry.
Get rid of oil industry.
Terrible.
Yeah, I mean, coal's the worst one for the planet. However many coal plants we have, and then here, I mean, there's what 900 coal plants across the world or something like that. I mean, that is the worst industry for the environment and all of that. And fixing that issue, I mean, that seems like a constraint that everybody can get behind.
So I think
the problem, the cheapness of it and how profitable it is. That's always going to be something that we battle. That's the crappy thing, is like going against human interests and the people that are already involved. I mean, I think that kind of goes back to the whole, like the whole Smithsonian throwing away things that are development because it would change the things that we already know or that we've already put money into. I mean, that is something that we're always going to have to battle. That's why First Contact scares me so much, because like they could say a lot of stuff to us, but man, humans are greedy son of a bitches.
Something I think about and I'm super stoked that Hunter brought up 0 point energy. I didn't even think about it. Is that just let's talk about the facets of manufacturing that we touch. Is Hunter and I work in chillers, process chillers, and the entire metric for process chillers is kilowatt per ton, input of electrical power per cooling unit. When that goes to zero, every element of the economy that's based on chilling, which is food storage, which is warehousing, any sort of life support. When you talk about hospitals, some degree of hospitals, even whenever you talk about cooling, manufacturing processes for
heating and cooling your house. I mean, stuff as simple as that.
Yeah, producing, cooling, anything. Even when you go to superconductors, when you go to getting things down to ridiculously cold temperatures, or hot temperatures for that matter, now is zero cost. That's insane on its own. And then the implications, you take that down to superconductors. Superconductors being zero cost now, or effectively zero cost outside of your initial mechanical installation. Explosion in technology. And then you talk about arc furnaces, which is how we produce metals. Or induction furnaces, anything, extrusion. You talk about thermoplastics. You talk about the heaters that are used in thermoplastics to make the plastic materials that we use. All of that goes to zero cost. The cost of a thermoplastic extrusion device, I don't remember, what's the name for that? It's got a little screw, brings plastics in for a mold.
Like a press?
Sure.
It's just a plastic injection press.
That one.
Yeah.
It's relatively cheap because the heaters and the motors are expensive to run. It's like $12,000 to get like an industrial grade, extrusion mold injection machine.
Mold machine?
Mold machine. There we go.
No, well,
they're not.
I mean, the machine itself, when you're buying for production, is going to be about $500,000 to $1 million.
Really? I was looking at them online on eBay. It's like $12,000 for.
You're not looking at new ones, but
probably not. They're used.
Right, but I'm saying so you still have a high upfront cost, but you have, your utility afterwards, like you said, it's gone to zero. So you've got an initial investment, and then after that, it's straight profit. You've got, besides maintenance on it,
So,
well, I mean, not only that, but everything as far as like production, the things that you're purchasing they're gonna cost less because the ships that it took to get everything to you, the trucks. I mean, everything's fuel cost is less. Everything is less. It's just gonna everything will get integrated at a better. I mean, everything still has a price, though. I mean, I guess, but
so that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs in the space, like billionaires, the top fucks we're talking about now, is that the United States is going to enter a deflationary environment where technology is going to become cheaper and cheaper. Goods are going to become cheaper and cheaper because of technological advancements through AI. And gosh, the wrench in the mix is definitely UFOs. And a 0-point energy source would, like, even when you talk about the chaos that would come from job displacement from AI, if we're losing where we're making 1/10 of what we're making now, but goods go down to 1,000th of what we're making now, we're living 10 times better than we do today.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
I do think that a 0-point energy source would be massively disruptive, mind-blowing, a fantastic answer, but also like bad for the top 1%, very, very good for everyone else.
It would be good overall for just humanity.
It'd be great for humanity, but most of the time we don't get things that are great for humanity because that makes the people that have a lot of money not have as much money. That's such a crappy thing to think about, is that can get altered or kind of messed up. That whole interaction that we could have could get derailed because people had their own family, or they're not even their own family, their own self-worth involved. Like, that's such a crazy thing. It's the same with if they came out and said something that would be like they know would cause chaos and disorder. They just straight up wouldn't tell us,
What if they were all named the N-word? Massively mind-blowing. We're like, well, we can't.
I mean,
wait, hold on. Hey, wait, hold on. Look up. 1 second.
Just imagine they were all like, you need to refer to us as the N-words, and our planet is the N-word, and you need to call us that. We'd be like, hey, you should go.
I need you guys to go to the general chat and open up this link that I just sent you.
Can I open it up on the live stream?
No.
Okay, I'm not going to do that.
Just open it up. It's a movie that came out in 92.
What the fuck?
It's very, very on point with what Tyler just said.
Is it Blazing Saddles?
Did you know about this?
Did you open it, Tyler?
No.
No. You can open it. It's an IMDb page, but don't show it on your. Well, you're not going to show it on your screen. Just open it. Just open it and look. You'll know exactly what the correlation is.
I don't know how to do that without showing it on the screen. Is showing my Discord.
Open it on your phone.
That's what I'm doing right now. Just email it.
Trust me, you're gonna want to do that. I mean, this is now boring because there's some weird interlude going on, but
no, it's a
just look up space movie that came out in 1992, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Not Aris and Chill.
No, the general chat for this one for bacon and eggs.
There we go. Oh man, that's such a cool Discord. I'm to be titled TTO Tuekwaga. Oh gosh, I did not like that. Is it a good movie?
I don't know. It's only 26 minutes long, so I'm not sure.
It's got a 5.8 out of 10.
I mean, that's better than bad.
It's better than Aragon.
It is better than Aragon. It's because the source material is more reliable, you son of a bitch.
Hunter,
oh, man.
What is better than Aragon? Can you say the name?
No. Absolutely not.
I can say From Outer Space. That's what I can say. That's the only portion of that I'm allowed to say.
I can say gay. I'm pretty sure I can say gay.
I'll say gay. Gay From Outer Space.
Gay what?
Alex is like, I can't.
I can't. So, boys, listen. Tyler, do you feel confident that that's a good enough answer for Hunter to give for that?
It was a fantastic answer.
I think it's a fantastic
It was a good
answer. I think that would ringer. I think that's a really great one to end on, man. But listen, man, this has been a super fun episode. You guys ran with the questions that I had. And I came a day late with the questions, but I had to wait for that last one because I couldn't figure out, like, I wanted to throw extraterrestrial or aliens in there, but I didn't want to just throw it in there, you know?
No, it was good. I liked it.
Yeah, I love the direction that we went with today, boys. This is a fantastic New Year's episode. I think that this is a fun way to break in the new year. We heard some resolutions. We heard some fun takes on some horrible people, horrible bosses situations. But I'm going to ask Hunter to close this episode out for us because...
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I am.
Thank you. Well, thank you, everybody, for having watched this video, because I know nobody's actually watching right now. So if you do watch eventually, thank you. We appreciate it. Be sure to watch some of our older episodes if you want to, if you thought it was decent. If not, fuck you too. Be sure to check out some of the ones coming up, because I know we're going to have a good time doing it. So thank you guys also for joining me, and thank you for having me join you. It's been a great time.
It's been a great time, man.
Take a great big fucking hit.
Dude, yeah, me too. Yeah. Good night, guys.
Salud.